But wind for City, Jonesboro, Blytheville, with a lot of instability in place, you may see a thunderstorm that develops with some damaging winds, hail, tornado threat on the lower end in our area, but certainly something I'm watching. I know last thing you want to hear after we're already still cleaning up from those tornadoes from Friday. Wednesday, again, as that system moves east, that severe weather threat weakened significantly. Right now we have a 1 out of 5. Wouldn't be shocked if we saw that upgraded to a 2 out of 5, just because, again, instability is really high with this system. If we did get a storm develop, strong winds would be the main concern. It'll be breezy anyway, so a storm could easily hit 40-50 miles per hour, and also some small hail will be possible. So let's look at timing. So an isolated severe storm possible in Harrisburg right around 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll still have a thunderstorm or two through 11 a.m., although we're really not seeing much of that rain developing until around noon. This is 12:30. Along this line, you can get some damaging wind gusts from Harrisburg into Wynne, into Forest City. That line pushes over the Mississippi River into Shelby County, including in Memphis. Around 3 o'clock, we see that stretch up into Brownsville and Crockett County as well. And then in the evening, most of that rain situates in North Mississippi. For several hours, you'll have heavy rain. This is 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday. Probably going to see this move in around 7 or 8 and last through late in the evening in Oxford and Corinth and Senatobia. Rain should be coming to an end by the time you wake up on Thursday morning, but rainfall total is obviously higher in that area in North Mississippi. 1 to 2 inches of rain, about a ½ inch to an inch for West Tennessee, eastern Arkansas. But this is just the average rainfall total. A downpour could easily bring that rainfall total, even here in Memphis, up to an inch. This weekend, rain chances drop down to about 20%, but there's still that potential there with that front stalled to our south, especially in North Mississippi. If we did see rain, it'll probably be late Saturday night into early Sunday. And then temperatures will be in the upper 60s Saturday, lower 70s on Sunday. So it feels mild, at least for our Easter weekend forecast. If you want to keep up to date on that chance for thunderstorms Wednesday, and also with that weekend forecast, you can get that on our First Alert Weather app. We keep updating it several times a day for you. Today we're in the upper 70s. Tomorrow, 85 in Memphis. Some spots may even get up to the upper 80s tomorrow, and it will feel humid, feeling more like a late spring, early summer day tomorrow. It'll definitely make you miss some cooler weather. 75 degrees on Wednesday, but behind Wednesday's cold front, temperatures are going to drop. Upper 40s for lows on Wednesday night. Then we're in the lower 60s on Thursday and Friday. Again, rain chances on the lower end for the weekend. So if you have Easter plans, maybe doing some Easter egg hunts on Sunday, thankfully with those low rain chances, I'm not expecting any big issues or cancellations of any Easter activities over the weekend.
Okay, we want to show you an updated look at the MLGW map. This is the outage map for MLGW coverage area. You can see 3,900 customers, that's homes and businesses, without power right now. This number's been fluctuating throughout the morning here, around the 3,000, 3,500, 3,800 mark. Again, it's at 3,901, which means that over 99% of the coverage area is in fact with power, which is great. And some of the areas that they do not have power, you can see these red boxes. This is the area, let's see, we see American Way, which we have covered an extensive amount. In fact, American Way Middle School has been dismissed today because they do not have power in that area. Another portion, as we look at this map, another red box here. This is Poplar over by Perkins Extended, South Mendenhall, and White Station Road. This area also dealing with a number of different power outages. Again, this number just changed. Customers affected now just below 3,900. So that's homes and businesses without power. We'll continue to watch this throughout the morning and continue to bring you updates here on the digital desk. Want to show you this. This is a map. Two separate shootings about 30 minutes or so apart have led to 2 people being killed. First one happened just before 8 o'clock last night. Jackson and Tillman. Memphis police say a man was taken to Regional 1 where he died. Here's another one that happened around 8:30. Police say they found a man on the scene here. He was pronounced dead by investigators. Both of those investigations are ongoing. In Memphis now, 3 people in Memphis are dead after Friday's storms. A mother and her 2 children. Bria Bolden has more.
The family's next door neighbor says he asked police to check on them after he didn't see them Saturday morning. When he walked out of his home, he saw a tree on their house, hoping they were not home. Trees on homes, debris still in the streets as Memphis Light, Gas, and Water crews worked Saturday afternoon to restore power to South Edgware Road and surrounding neighborhoods near the Memphis International Airport. Little did they know, tragedy would be waiting when they arrived. Memphis police say just before 12:30 Saturday afternoon, the bodies of an adult and 2 children were found at this home. Their next-door neighbor, Nicholas Gamble, lived next to the family for 3 years. He found police Saturday while walking around the neighborhood, saying he was concerned after not seeing them that morning.
I just got sympathy for the family and remorse, Don't nobody want to lose a loved one, especially babies or grown people for that matter, but it's just sad. And it's messing with me kind of because I should have probably said something earlier.
Gamble says a mother and her 2 children, a little boy and little girl, lived in the home. He believes the children were 3 or 4 years old. The identities of the mother and her children have not been released yet. We'll keep you updated once they are. Reporting from MLGW headquarters, Bria Bolden, Action News 5.
In Covington, Tennessee, investigators there say search and rescue operations are now over. Their focus is on cleanup. The next steps include a damage assessment phase, utility crews out in full force, heavy traffic enforcement as well, continuous cleanup efforts. More than 1/3 of the city of Covington face power outages. Mayor Jan Hensley has been very prominent throughout the weekend. He says residents should see full power restored by Friday. Mayor also says people there should know city services will try and operate normally as to the best of their abilities.
All our staff, city and county, state, local, all these people have really come together, and in a couple of days to do what we've done, simply amazing.
All right, the city will open its landfill today for people in Covington who want to drop off some of that storm debris. Let's talk now more about Wynne, Arkansas. The governor there, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, along with FEMA administrator, viewed some of the damage from Friday night's confirmed EF3 tornado. Residents say they will take all the help they can get. Walter Murphy reports.
There's no doubt that the warnings that came from meteorologists certainly saved lives.
Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders praising local meteorologists for what she believes were lives saved during the devastating EF3 tornado Friday evening that killed 4 people in Wynne, Arkansas, and injured dozens of others.
I think if anybody has learned a lesson, it is that when those alerts come in, we need to take them seriously and take cover when it asks us to do so.
While touring the devastation in Wynne on Sunday, the governor walked lockstep with FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell and praised the Biden administration for their immediate action, issuing their presidential disaster declaration.
We are here for the long haul, Governor. We are going to be with you through this process.
And I was thankful to see them.
A show of bipartisan cooperation
They'll get you taken care of.
that means a lot to people like John Pearson.
Everybody's got to work together to get this thing back together. We can all be separated by politics, but when it's all said and done, we're all one family.
Pearson says his family survived by hiding in the bathroom. Now he says he's taking things one day at a time.
We're just trying to salvage what we can, pick up what memories we have, and then move on.
In Wynne, Arkansas, I'm Walter Murphy, Action News 5.
Okay, and President Joe Biden released a statement saying, quote, Jill and I are praying for everyone impacted by the devastating storms this weekend. While we are still assessing the full extent of the damage, we know families across America are mourning the loss of loved ones, sorting through the rubble of their homes and of their businesses. I've directed my team to bring in every element of the federal government together to help with immediate needs and long-term building. Make sure you sign up for the Action News 5 weather app. You can download it right now on your smartphone. You will see live radar, and then you can also check out the radar later in the day. You can keep an eye on all the watches and warnings as well. No matter where you live, you can specify the forecast to your neighborhood. The app, again, it's a free download in your mobile devices App Store. Also, we want to see all the weather damage in your area. Please go ahead and send send your photos and pictures, and make sure you turn your phone horizontally. That is the best way we can see some of the video and some of the pictures here. All you have to do is send it to actionnews5.com/mypics. Again, turn your phone horizontally, and that'll really give us a great indication of what kind of damage you have in your neighborhood. All right, we want to tell you about former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson. He said he is going to make a run for the White House.
I have made a decision, and my decision is I'm going to run for President of the United States. While the formal announcement will be later in April in Bentonville, I'm running because I believe that I am the right time for America, the right candidate for our country and its future. And I shouldn't hinge upon anything else.
Okay, Hutchinson enters a crowded field right now. He said that people want leaders that appeal to the best of America, not appeal to the worst instincts. Right now, in a crowded field, Donald Trump is more than double in terms of ratings ahead of anybody else. Hutchinson joins former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and other entrepreneurs, Vivek Ramaswamy, as well. All right, let's talk about Regional 1 right now. In an effort to reduce the ongoing nursing shortage, Regional 1 Hospital revamped its nursing residency program. It started in 2021 in response to the nursing shortage. Still, it's been a challenge to hire nurses. We've heard from Rachel Kemp, the Associate Chief Nursing Officer, Vice President of Patient Care at Regional 1. She says that because of the pandemic, student nurses have had less time in the hospital and more simulation over hands-on training. She says as they saw more new nurses coming in, they wanted to bring them into an organization where they can practice safely and feel confident in care to patients. Kemp says it's all about meeting nurses where they are.
We reached out to them upon hire and said, what do you feel like you didn't get in nursing school? What keeps you up at night? And we built our own curriculum in order to be able to meet the needs of these nurses.
Kemp told us that they held trauma boot camps that taught nurse skills that they'll use on a daily basis. She also says their teaching may change month to month based on where the nurse is in her learning. Nearly half of all veterans dealing with chronic pain are 4 times more likely to develop sleep problems. Now, this morning, researchers are looking at light therapy to help treat both of these issues. It's a fascinating story in My Best Life report. I want you to take a look here.
Army veteran Lisa Smith has lived with sleep problems and chronic pain for decades.
Is not able to sleep? No. It's lower back. My lower back bothered me a whole lot.
So she took part in a study to see if bright light therapy could help both her insomnia and her pain. Researchers from Rush University Medical Center are studying whether sitting in front of a bright light box for an hour first thing in the morning could improve symptoms for veterans like Lisa. The theory is that light advances your day cycle, so your body releases melatonin earlier. That could lead to improved sleep and, as a result, less pain.
If you haven't slept in a while, you're more sensitive to pain.
The bright light worked for Lisa.
You know, I don't remember having back pain after that. In 3 or 4 days, I started really realizing that, you know, I'm gonna have to set my alarm now to get up because I'm not awake.
A different published study recently found people with PTSD reported better sleep and fewer symptoms after exposure to blue light therapy, a simple solution that could solve some big problems for veterans.
Dr. Burns says the bright light boxes are already commercially available and are relatively inexpensive. The study on light boxes is federally funded. With ways to live your best life, I'm Andrew Douglas, Action News 5. Tickets are now on sale for the 2023 St. Jude Dream Home giveaway, sponsored by Al Sackett, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. This dream home being built in Arlington for the very first time by Southern Serenity Homes. Estimated value of a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath house is $575,000. It can be yours for just a $100 ticket. And then if you get your ticket before April 14th, you'll be eligible to win this prize, a brand new car, either a new Nissan Kicks SV or a new Honda Civic Sport, I should say. Sponsored by Wolf Chase Honda, Wolf Chase Nissan. Call the number 1-800-224-6681 or go to dreamhome.org and get your ticket today. One of the best interviews that you're going to see on the Action News 5 digital desk has to do with food. And each and every week or so, we interview the food reporter at the Commercial Appeal. And we have got a treat for you because Jennifer Chandler is joining us on the digital desk. And she's going to be talking about the top 10 best places for brunch, you know, either after church or with friends, having some mimosas, that sort of thing. I have to say, Jennifer, when we heard that we were talking with you about brunch, everyone in the newsroom, they lit up with their own little responses and what they liked and what they didn't like. How was it like putting together this list?
Well, actually, it was a very daunting task. So I got the help of my newsroom. So this was kind of a collaboration effort for the newsroom at the Commercial Appeal. And I had everyone share what their favorite brunch spot was, and they went out to them and they did little mini reviews and told us what their favorite dishes are. So it was a really fun story to write. I like doing these collaboration things because sometimes they're ones that, you know, maybe weren't on my list before that I think I need to revisit.
Well, that's awesome. There are some on the list that I recognize, and there are some that I haven't been to yet. So I'm eager to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, well, let's get going. So the first one on the list is the Beauty Shop, and that's in the Cooper Young neighborhood and has been around for a very long time, very beloved, known for its Saturday and Sunday brunches. Michaela Watts, that was her favorite pick, and she went her go-to order there is the Eggs Benedict, which you can get many different ways, but she likes the kind of traditional one that's done with brown sugar honey ham. That's what you see in that picture right there. And it has a really velvety hollandaise on it, a little arugula, you know, to give it a modern spin. And she often orders it. They have this manchego and arugula and nectarine salad that she sometimes gets on the side with it. But it's a really good brunch spot. They've got great brunch cocktails as well. So Beauty Shop, classic, fun place to go for a Saturday or Sunday brunch.
For sure.
Next on the list is Magnolia and May. And Ray Padilla, who's our digital editor, likes to go there. And this is a tiny little restaurant by Chip and Amanda Dunham that is located off of Mendenhall. If you know where Gibson's and Gus's Fried Chicken is right there, kind of at Mendenhall, it's kind of tucked away on that side street behind Gus's. And it is a true neighborhood brasserie little restaurant, and it's always fun to go there. And they do serve brunch. And Ray's favorite dish there is the tacos con Memphis, which has a fun name. But those are just a really good loaded breakfast egg taco. So Magnolia, May, and East Memphis. Have you been there before?
I have, and what I also liked about it, Jennifer, is that it's this funky place. You know, it's a little funky in there. It's got like I think the silverware that you just saw, or the plates, there just kind of lets you know, has that connection to just kind of a funky, cool spot in Memphis. I love it.
Yeah, it's actually kind of feels like a midtown restaurant in East Memphis, if I dare say that.
Exactly.
Kind of has that vibe.
I like that. That's a good description.
Okay. Yeah. So, the next one on the list is one of my favorite, which is Edge Alley that I got to write about. And Edge Alley is located, actually that picture, we'll go back a minute. That's the liquor store. Then I'll go back to Edge Alley. So the liquor store is the picture that's up right now. And that one was with Corinne Kennedy. That was her favorite place. And that's on Broad Avenue. And it's got this really kind of cool, like Miami Cuban diner vibes inside. It's just Natalie Lieberman of Collect and Curate. It was one of her first big projects here in Memphis. It's really kind of cool retro feel to it. And one of their dishes that there's a signature, and it was also Corinne's favorite, is the sweet potato hash, which comes with eggs on top, and you can order a meat to go with it as well. And you can order bacon or sausage, but they have Cuban pork, and that's what Corinne recommended that she gets it with. And so that's a really kind of fun place to go. I really like their breakfast tacos. They've got fun cocktails on the menu too. I think that's kind of a requisite when you're going to brunch with friends, is to if you want to have a cocktail too, but they've got a great list of stuff on their menu. So let's go back to Edge Alley, which was one of the ones that I wrote about. So Edge Alley was this restaurant that I discovered back when the Commercial Appeals offices were in that big building, that iconic building on Union. This was kind of basically where I would go and get my lunch for a quick and easy lunch, or a quick and easy, cup of coffee, because it was literally like 1 block over. It's in the Edge district. And I kind of fell in love with it there. And it's kind of a neat, interesting space that Tim Barker has put together. He's the chef and owner, and he makes everything from scratch. I mean, when I talk about everything, he roasts his own coffee beans, for the Bloody Marys, he makes his own Bloody Mary mix. He even makes his crackers that he serves because he's right next to a brewery. And he uses some of their leftover, I guess it's the mash from the brewery, and he will use that to make crackers. But I have 2 go-to orders there. So if I'm feeling very hungry, I will get the steak and eggs, and they are perfectly cooked tenderloins with a perfectly cooked eggs on the side. Actually really, really great. It comes with a chimichurri sauce. I really, really love it. And then the picture, what you see right here, this is his ham and cheese quiche, which is like no other you will find in town, because he puts a layer of grainy mustard on the crust before adding the filling. And so it's kind of very reminiscent of a ham and cheese sandwich. It's kind of crazy, but it really, really works. And definitely,
I love it.
Favorite drink there, when I said that he roast his own coffee beans. I have lots of non-alcoholic coffee drinks that I like there, like his How Now Brown Cow, which is a salted caramel coffee latte. But the one I say to get is, oh my gosh, I'm gonna draw the blank on the name right now that I'm sitting here. He has one that's, it's like, I think it's called the Good Stuff. It's a bourbon spiked coffee drink. It's a really great way to start your brunch. So moving on down the list, Sunrise Memphis is a Memphis favorite. And now they have 2 locations. They have one on the original on Jefferson and one on East Memphis. It's at Poplar, kind of near Yates. And this is Chef Ryan Trim has done this business, and it's great. This is Evan Barnes. This was his pick. He's one of our sports reporters. And he prefers the Jefferson one because that's the one he's always been going to. And his favorite dish is the Rooster, which is a fried chicken biscuit that is pretty sinful and pretty good, because they make their biscuits from scratch, and there's a little bit of spice to this dish. So the fried chicken biscuit at Sunrise, if you haven't been there, try it. Again, they have a whole bunch of fun brunch cocktails on their menu too. So were any of those one of the ones you haven't been to yet? I'm curious.
I've never been to the Edge Alley, and that looks amazing. I gotta say, I mean, anyone who roasts their own coffee beans is not playing around.
Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when you go, they have, you remember monkey bread when you were a kid, the kind of pull apart, with the biscuits and the cinnamon sugar that you would make. Well, he has a grown-up version of it on the appetizer menu, and it comes, and it's like in this, it almost looks like a French pastry when it comes to your table, and it comes with a cinnamon dipping sauce, and it is so yummy. It's so good. We actually, that's awesome. It's perfect for sharing. It's big enough to share, but we kind of like ate some in the beginning, and then we saved some for dessert.
Oh, nice. Now, the liquor store, you mentioned, going back to the liquor store, Cuban influence, is that throughout the menu, throughout the day, or is that just for the breakfast?
It is throughout the day. They pretty much serve breakfast all day is what they're a diner. They have some kind of lunch type dishes as well, but there's definitely kind of a Cuban vibe before. The Toros that owned it. It recently just sold to the owners of South of Beale for just bought it actually earlier this year. But the people that started, Lisa Toro, her and her husband is, I think, of Cuban descent. He's from somewhere in like that, but I should know that, and I don't know that. But that's what the influences on that menu are. So it's not a Cuban restaurant per se, but it almost feels like a Miami restaurant, kind of like it has like a vibe of Southern stuff and Cuban stuff and American stuff. And I mean, it's an eclectic menu, but it's fun.
I can't wait to check it out. Those are definitely on my list.
So, okay, well, let's move on to Bartlett, another part of town, to Biscuits and Jams. And this is a favorite spot of mine as well. Dima Amra wrote about it. And Dima is a vegetarian. And so I always love to include her in a story because I know there's so many vegetarians and vegans in Memphis now. And you're always looking for an option of where to go. And she says that Biscuits and Jams is one of her places to go that she can find something delicious to eat. And she likes the Blueberry Hill lemon blueberry waffle, which you see there, which is light and fluffy and flavorful. It comes in a traditional one and can be ordered vegan as well. Many of the waffles and the pancakes on Biscuits and Jams menu can be ordered in as a vegan version. And she gets a side of vegan sausages to go with it. And it's really, really good. Monique Williams is the owner there. They have a fun brunch cocktail menu. I'll give you a sneak preview for Easter. They're doing peep-teenies with marshmallow peeps for Easter. But she has a breakfast eggs, like a Benedict that has like a crawfish, shrimp. I don't want to say it's an étouffée, but it's just, the sauce is so good. It's like, I think she calls it her Creole Benedict. That's one of my favorite dishes there. But if you haven't been to Biscuits and Jams and Bartlett, you need to check it out. It opened, I feel like it opened sometime around 2020. It could have opened in 2019, right before the pandemic, but it was sometime around there. So it hasn't been around very long. Next on the list is a Memphis classic, Owen Brennan's. I mean, you can't really talk about brunch in Memphis without Owen Brennan's because they have that huge brunch buffet spread that is over the top, that has, omelets made to order, which you have to give a shout out to Shorty, the omelet maker. His real name is Robert Fisher. So maybe go up to him one day and say, "Hi, Robert," and you'll surprise him because everyone calls him Shorty. But he is just always puts on such a great show when making omelets there, and they're delicious. But they'll have, you can get it with crawfish étouffée on top. There's boiled shrimp. There's sometimes raw oysters. There's you name it, it's on this brunch buffet, and it's only on Sundays. And that's something to remember. And they no longer take reservations. So it is first come, first serve. So if you're going right after the church rush gets there, you may have to wait a minute. It's totally worth it. Order a cocktail and enjoy yourself outside on the patio while you wait for your table. But I always tell people to either pretty much go early as your best bet, or you can go later. But if you're hitting there around 12:15, just know that you might have a little bit of a wait. Next on the list is something a little different than when people don't necessarily think of pizza for brunch, but Hog and Hominy is one of my favorite places to go. They do have a bunch of brunch items on their menu, but when I go there, I always go for the pizza. And they have two pizzas that are very kind of brunchy. The one you see here is the red eye that has that perfectly poached runny egg that when you cut into it on top. They also have a pizza called the Pruitt that has scrambled eggs on top. I mean, who would have thought? It is actually really, really good. You can start with things like they have sausage balls with Tiny Bomb mustard dipping sauce. And, I always get the crab claws, which come in this like buttery garlic sauce. And here is the insider trick. When you finish the crab claws and they come to clear that plate, you say, "No way, Jose, keep that plate here." And what you do is you save that garlic butter and you dip the crust from their pizzas into the garlic butter. And it is so good. Just trust me.
Wow. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And fans of Gray Canary will be glad to know that they used to be known at their brunch. This is all owned by the Andrew Michael restaurant group. Gray Canary was known for these kind of like, they had these big punch bowls that they serve for brunch. They have moved that over to Hog and Hominy now. So the punch bowls are still in Memphis. They've just moved from downtown to East Memphis. So if you're going with a group, consider ordering one of their punch bowls. It's kind of a fun thing to do. Now, moving down our list is another Memphis staple, Brother Juniper's over by the University of Memphis. I mean, I don't even know how long, I should have looked up how long that restaurant has been around, but it is a tried and true classic. Always fun. Does not take reservations either. And, but it's a fun, when you're standing there and you're waiting, it's a very casual place, and it's always a good vibe, even if you have to wait 15, 20 minutes for a table. So one of our new photographers, Chris Day, this was his pick, and he says the sausage gravy and biscuits is his favorite thing. He says, you know, that's such a Southern thing, and he says that they do it perfectly. Their biscuits are awesome. So if you want a very casual brunch experience, head over to Brother Juniper's. You know, they're also known for their open face omelets that are so good. They've got pretty much everything breakfast on the menu. So definitely Brother Juniper's. Okay, and then we're going to round out to the last one, which is one I have not been to. But Gina Butkovich, who covers our DeSoto County coverage, she picked a restaurant that was in South Haven. And I have to giggle because I have had a mimosa bong or a mimosa tower. They call them bongs. I've heard them called towers before, as you see in this picture. But the 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill has that. And I don't know if any place else in Memphis does. One of my daughters went to school in Colorado, and there was a restaurant in Boulder that had these giant mimosa things, and I would take her and maybe 6 or 7 of her friends out, and we would drink those. Her senior year, of course, when she was over 21. But it's kind of a fun, you know, casual thing to do with friends is to go and have a mimosa bong at 10th Inning Sports Bar and Grill. And she says the food is good too. So I'm going to have to add that to my list and probably arrange for a designated driver.
That looks amazing. Wow. You know, saying 10th inning, you knocked that out of the park there, Jennifer Chandler, once again.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons I think of spring, and I was thinking, you know, Easter is coming up, and so that kind of got me on the brunch mode. So that's why we kind of, and I know there are places that should have been on this list, but we had to limit it to 10, and because otherwise we'd be the entire paper talking about brunch. But check out on Friday my list of places doing Easter brunch specials. We'll publish online at commercialappeal.com. So if you're thinking of on the fence of where you want to go for Easter brunch, all of these will be perfect. But I also have a list of places that are doing special menus, or some are doing prefix menus. There are a few restaurants that are not normally open for brunch that will be open for brunch on Easter. So definitely check out that story too if brunch is your favorite thing, and especially for Easter.
And that's what we call in the industry a tease. Jennifer Chandler, we appreciate it so much. Each and every time you come on, that brunch list looks phenomenal. Thanks so much. Again, Commercial Appeal, commercialappeal.com/food. Jennifer, thanks.
Great. Bye.
Hey, good morning. We had some rain move through overnight when most of us were sleeping. So a little bit of rain and drizzle early this morning. All this rain is pushing east, though. You can see that on our radar loop. So the rest of the day actually looks really nice, especially once we get past lunchtime. Rain chances come to an end just after 9 a.m. We'll end up at the upper 60s at noon, 75 at 3. Mostly sunny at 5 o'clock, 76 degrees, and then upper 70s at 7. We have warm air in place today. 80s in the forecast tomorrow. 70 still on Wednesday. There will actually be a low pressure system with a cold front attached, kind of similar to the setup we had on Friday, moving through portions of Iowa. That will bring a 4 out of 5 for severe weather, 3 out of 5 for most of Arkansas. But notice the severe weather threat is lower as you look off to the east. This will be for Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning for our area in particular. Forest City, Wynne, Blytheville, Jonesboro have that elevated risk for severe weather. West Tennessee, North Mississippi, slightly lower threat. But Wynne, Forest City, Jonesboro, Blytheville, with a lot of instability in place, you may see a thunderstorm that develops with some damaging winds, hail, tornado threat on the lower end in our area, but certainly something I'm watching. I know last thing you want to hear after we're already still cleaning up from those tornadoes from Friday. Wednesday, again, as that system moves east, that severe weather threat weakened significantly. Right now we have a 1 out of 5. Wouldn't be shocked if we saw that upgraded to a 2 out of 5, just because, again, instability is really high with this system. If we did get a storm develop, strong winds would be the main concern. It'll be breezy anyway, so a storm could easily hit 40-50 miles per hour, and also some small hail will be possible. So let's look at timing. So an isolated severe storm possible in Harrisburg right around 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll still have a thunderstorm or two through 11 a.m., although we're really not seeing much of that rain developing until around noon. This is 12:30. Along this line, you can get some damaging wind gusts from Harrisburg into Wynne, into Forest City. That line pushes over the Mississippi River into Shelby County, including in Memphis. Around 3 o'clock, we see that stretch up into Brownsville and Crockett County as well. And then in the evening, most of that rain situates in North Mississippi. For several hours, you'll have heavy rain. This is 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday. Probably going to see this move in around 7 or 8 and last through late in the evening in Oxford and Corinth and Senatobia. Rain should be coming to an end by the time you wake up on Thursday morning, but rainfall total is obviously higher in that area in North Mississippi. 1 to 2 inches of rain, about a ½ inch to an inch for West Tennessee, eastern Arkansas. But this is just the average rainfall total. A downpour could easily bring that rainfall total, even here in Memphis, up to an inch. This weekend, rain chances drop down to about 20%, but there's still that potential there with that front stalled to our south, especially in North Mississippi. If we did see rain, it'll probably be late Saturday night into early Sunday. And then temperatures will be in the upper 60s Saturday, lower 70s on Sunday. So it feels mild, at least for our Easter weekend forecast. If you want to keep up to date on that chance for thunderstorms Wednesday, and also with that weekend forecast, you can get that on our First Alert Weather app. We keep updating it several times a day for you. Today we're in the upper 70s. Tomorrow, 85 in Memphis. Some spots may even get up to the upper 80s tomorrow, and it will feel humid, feeling more like a late spring, early summer day tomorrow. It'll definitely make you miss some cooler weather. 75 degrees on Wednesday, but behind Wednesday's cold front, temperatures are going to drop. Upper 40s for lows on Wednesday night. Then we're in the lower 60s on Thursday and Friday. Again, rain chances on the lower end for the weekend. So if you have Easter plans, maybe doing some Easter egg hunts on Sunday, thankfully with those low rain chances, I'm not expecting any big issues or cancellations of any Easter activities over the weekend.
All right, that's another update here from the Action News 5 digital desk. Not only the weather that you just heard from meteorologist Brittany Bryant, but here's an update on power outages in the MLGW coverage area. 3812, that's 3,812 customers, homes and businesses without power right now in the MLGW coverage area. The utility company is saying that its electrical distribution and transmission system were severely damaged by Friday's storm, so the utility and contracted crews have been out working along 2 power circuits that near Perkins and I-240. Many homes and businesses have been without power since Friday. The owner of the Superior shop near Perkins and 240 says his store has been without power for 48 hours, but does applaud MLGW crews working outside of his business.
It damaged the entire power lines from here all the way down to the airport. And they came, MLGW, thank God for MLGW, they came right away Friday night. They were here, and Saturday morning working nonstop trying to get the powers back up.
And Memphis Shelby County Schools says American Way Middle School will be closed today, including school activities, after school activities. The utility asked that if you see crews cleaning up debris or tree trimming, they are working on power restoration, so avoid them if at all possible. Over to Wynne, Arkansas now. Prayers from the community have been louder than ever as this town begins the process of rebuilding following that EF3 tornado. Members of Wynne First United Methodist Church gathered in the parking lot outside of the church for service. The building had heavy damage in the storm, and for many it was the first time they saw the building after the tornado. Certainly an emotional time for some church members.
As I walked through the church, I was just devastated. This has been such a meaningful place for me until.
And this woman was overcome with emotion. Certainly, the church pastor reminded the congregation that the church has been rebuilt before and they can do it once again. Immediately after the storms hit Arkansas, the American Red Cross arrived to help. The efforts there with the Red Cross touched down in Wynne, Arkansas the night of the deadly storms. Volunteers say they will stay as long as needed. Jennifer Wolf, a longtime Wynne, Arkansas resident, survived the storm without a scratch, but her home wasn't so lucky. She and her 2 sons have been staying at First Assembly Church of God since that storm.
It's very helpful, especially when you don't have nothing. It's just the whole community pulling together.
Being able to listen to them about what happened is one of the most important things, because it's not if, it's when these things happen, and a lot of people don't think it'll happen to them. So I think the reaction has been grateful.
Volunteers say you don't just need a place to lay your head to come to the shelter at First Assembly of God in Wynne, Arkansas. You can come get a bite to eat or talk with some people who are also dealing with the aftermath of the devastation of the deadly tornado, as you could look at some of that drone video from Wynne High School there. Wynne, Arkansas, a community of about 8,200 residents. And Arkansas victims in Cross, Lonoke, and Pulaski counties certainly dealing with quite a bit of damage there. They are asking for relief there. They're asking for help from FEMA. To apply for assistance, you can go to disaster relief, disasterassistance.gov, or call 1-800-621-3362. Disaster assistance may include financial help with temporary lodging, home repairs, along with other programs to assist families recovering from the effects of that event. I want to tell you about this. People all across Mississippi coming together to help the communities affected by the deadly tornadoes. South Mississippi crews are headed out to Rolling Fork tomorrow to feed 300 to 500 people. Volunteers from the Biloxi Fire Museum System, Keesler Fire Department, and the Mississippi Knights of Columbus are also lending a hand. For Joe Modi, Rolling Fork is where his family evacuated after Hurricane Katrina.
To me, it means a lot to be able to go back up there and help them people in the community, and we've all been through it. We know what it's like, and to be able to help fellow Mississippians is very important to us.
Rescue efforts will continue for the coming days as many communities across the Mid-South continue to deal with the fallout from Friday's storms. Many companies and organizations are dealing with the efforts to help those in need in Mississippi. Walmart employees and volunteers came from all over. They rolled up their sleeves. They served food, provided assistance and help in any way they could. Greg Carter with the Walmart Recovery Organization says it's moments like this that make their job worthwhile.
We want to give our condolences to the people here. It's heartbreaking listening to some of the stories and what has went on. The cafeteria that we're using to clean our utensils and stuff with. I walked in with a lady the other day and I noticed something was wrong. I said, "Ma'am, what's happening?" She said, "There's a lady here that works here in the cafeteria, will not come through these doors anymore." And it broke my heart.
The tornado victims were greeted with smiles, sincere prayers as they waited in line to receive free food as well as bottled water and hygiene products. They say they're grateful for companies like Walmart that came out to help during this difficult time. I want to show you this here. Action News 5 is partnering with the Salvation Army for our Mississippi Strong Tornado Relief Drive. You can text MS Tornadoes to the number on your screen. That's 51555, or visit gray.tv/relief to donate. 100% of your money will go to help victims. Food and Drug Administration has approved over-the-counter version of its overdose reversal drug, naloxone. It is made by the Emergency Biosolutions, sold under the name Narcan. It will be available as a single dose, operate as a nasal spray. The drug will be available over the counter, and the hope is that it'll save more lives. Over-counter version won't likely be on store shelves until later this summer. FDA also plans to discuss whether the agency should allow a birth control pill to be sold over the counter. Opill, currently available by the FDA with a prescription. It'll be the first birth control. It could rather be the first birth control pill available over the counter. FDA will meet with the matter in May. Back in 1973, 50 years ago today, history was made. First successful cell phone call was made. Certainly a wild situation here. NBC News' Joe Fryer speaking with 94-year-old Marty Cooper, who is the man who made that call. Here's a preview.
Most of what you do is social media, texting, talking on the phone. The future of the cell phone is much more complicated and much more bright than that.
That's pretty wild there. You can hear Cooper reflecting on the 5 decades of cell phone evolution, what he believes is the next frontier for the device in your pocket. Okay, 1 week, 4 games left in the regular season for the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies were in Chicago facing the Bulls. They got off to a great start. The first half, they were just unbelievable. They led by as much as 23 points at one point, even early in the second half, and then the Grizzlies just fell apart. They had one of the worst halves of the season here. They lost the game by 21 points, despite Ja Morant having a triple-double and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s 31 points. Taylor Jenkins, the head coach, talked about what went wrong in the second half.
I mean, their activity was great. They picked up their physicality. We got careless. We had 16 turnovers in the second half, so product of them playing really well defensively and then us playing terribly offensively.
Yeah, so the Grizz catch a huge break in the race for the number 2 seed. The Kings lost in overtime at the home against the Spurs. Grizz keep a 2-game lead with 4 games left.
I'm doing something that I love to do.
So am I, pure and simple.
You don't do this for 26 years if you don't like it.
This month's Mid-South Heroes are a pair of crossing guards with the Germantown Police Department who put on the uniform and a smile each and every day. Peggy Grammer has been a crossing guard for more than a decade, while her co-worker, Faye Lester, has been at it for over 25 years. These two are at their posts every morning and afternoon, dealing with traffic, parents, and weather.
The worst part for me is lightning. I don't mind the rain. I don't mind the cold. I don't like the hot, but I do not like lightning. Do not.
And I'm basically the same. The lightning really is the hardest part of standing out here.
I can deal with the cars. Just keep the lightning away.
I've actually been hit, not hard, by a car, but really, it's just all in a day's work.
Faye and Peggy can be seen weekdays at area schools like Houston Middle, directing parent traffic, bus traffic, and their favorite part of the job, helping students cross busy streets.
That's the draw. You just love the kids.
Faye's the best.
You don't do this job for the money or anything. You do this job for your love of the kids. And there's nothing like these babies. I mean, they're like our grandkids. They're ours, and I even have kids come back with their kids. So yeah, it's an awesome job, and that makes me feel happy that I make someone else happy.
You see them every day. You know if they're having a bad day or whatever, you're going to know it because you're one of the first people that see them.
These two heroes have a simple but important request.
These kids' lives are important, and trying to get people to stop and let us get these kids safely across the street, some days it's all we can do. And if people would just take a moment to realize that these kids' lives are in really big danger, it would be nice. Just slow down just a little bit. You might get to where you're going 2 or 3 minutes later, but you're going to get there, and our kids are going to be safe.
It's scary sometimes how close they come. Just have patience with us because we're doing the best we can, and sometimes it is in a difficult situation. And kindness always wins out.
Congratulations, Faye and Peggy. You are this month's Mid-South Heroes.
Okay, Andrew Douglas back here in the Action News 5 digital desk. The Memphis Police Department will host its first hiring expo of the year. It's going to be this Saturday. It'll be April 8th, and it's something that where someone can go by and start a brand new career with the Memphis Police Department. Joining me now to talk more about this hiring expo is Officer Christopher Freeman. He's joining us on the digital desk. Officer Freeman, if you could do me a favor and tilt down on your camera just a little bit. We got a lot of headroom there. But listen, I really appreciate you joining us this morning to talk about the Police Hiring Expo. Tell me first, tell me about it. What can people expect when they stop by there this Saturday?
So the Memphis Police Department's Hiring Expo is a chance for anybody who has a heart for service that wants to come and serve the city of Memphis can come out and learn about the job and learn what it feels like to be a Memphis police officer. At the time when they're there, they get to speak with us about the different units that we have, the life of an academy recruit. They get to fill out an application and take the first test of the hiring process.
Gotcha. And so can you tell us a little bit more about when this is? I see that it's 11 to 3 on Saturday, where it is, and what people can expect when they show up. I mean, is there going to be just kind of an idea of what they can see in terms of a new career with the Memphis Police Department?
Absolutely. So first, the expo will be April 8th, which is this Saturday at 170 North Main from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will also be parking at the Mud Island Garage, which is at Poplar in front, so they don't have to worry about parking. But what they can expect is first they will see us with smiling faces to greet them and guide them through the expo process. First, they need to bring a valid driver's license. So once they bring that, we can check them in and they can go through the expo experience. So they'll be able to speak with officers about the requirements, what to expect with the police department, how the police department has changed each and every one of our lives, and different ways that they can serve within the police department.
Okay, officer. So tell me how many officers they're looking to get in this hiring expo, and can you talk about some of the challenges? I know that it's been a priority for the mayor to get certain the level of the Memphis Police Department up to a certain standard.
So we don't have a cap on the amount of officers that we're trying to get from the expo. We just want to make sure that we put the opportunity out there for everybody who is interested and qualified to serve with us. So there's not a cap on the number.
Can you talk about maybe some of the characteristics that would make a great Memphis police officer, candidates that you're looking for?
Absolutely. First, of good moral character, trustworthy, honest. They must carry a high level of integrity. They must be passionate, and they also must love the city of Memphis and its citizens.
Do you need to register beforehand, and what do people need to bring?
So you don't have to register beforehand, just like you don't have to fill out your application beforehand, but it would speed up your check-in process if you did register beforehand. And if you go to the Memphis Police Department's Facebook page, the expo flyer is on the photos, and you can just scan the QR code and go ahead and register. And the only thing we ask people to bring is a valid driver's license.
Okay, and can you talk about perhaps some of the sign-on bonuses and the relocation assistance involved?
Absolutely. So once you're hired and you become a recruit, you are eligible for a $15,000 sign-on bonus. So that'll be given to you in two different payments upon graduation and upon completion of probation in your training period. The $10,000 relocation comes from if you live 50 miles outside of the city, we will give you up to $10,000 in relocation to help you move and get settled in the city of Memphis.
So what do you say to someone who is a little bit skittish about it, that would make probably a pretty decent candidate, but in light of some of the news, the national news out there, they're a little bit skittish about joining. What do you say to that candidate out there that would make a good police officer, but right now might be a little apprehensive?
I would tell them not to ignore their calling. They want to be a police officer for a reason. It's a deep-rooted calling that all of us have, and don't ignore that calling. You need to fulfill that calling because the people of Memphis, the citizens of Memphis, need you.
Can you talk a little bit about the academy, and once someone is selected for this expo hiring, the process to eventually become a police officer?
So the academy is 24 weeks long, roughly about 6 months. Within the academy, they'll learn the policies and procedures of the police department, constitutional law, state law. They also have learned the firearms training and how to use the tools that we give them to operate on a day-to-day basis. And there's also physical training as well. We get them in shape.
Anything else you want to mention, Officer, about the expo this weekend that we haven't touched on?
Oh, so I just want to invite everyone and reiterate that we look forward to seeing you. And again, if you have that heart for service and if you really feel that calling in you, don't ignore it and come join the Best in Blue.
Okay, join mpd.com for more information. Christopher Freeman, we really appreciate you joining us and filling us in on the expo this Saturday from 11 to 3. Thanks so very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, now let's talk about Ghost River Brewery and this 5-star story. Kim Clark has more.
The Ghost River meanders through more than 2,000 acres of Fayette County bottomland forests, cypress swamps, and marshes. Conservationists consider it the crown jewel of the Wolf River, which helps recharge the Memphis Sand Aquifer that provides Memphians with some of the sweetest water in the world.
The secret to the good beer is the water, because it's the natural water table here that creates the actual craft beer that we make today.
Bob Keski is the owner of the brewery, named after the Ghost River. Every can from Ghost River Brewing Company is stamped with a cypress tree, like those found in the river's wetlands. Keski bought the brewery, in operation on South Main since 2007, 3 years ago.
Born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which used to be the beer capital of the world. So beer is my thing.
Owning a brewery was new for the businessman, but thanks to the pandemic, he had time to learn.
Now I'm deep into it.
He opened a second location in July of 2021, this time on Beale Street, using his other business, Supply Chain Solutions, to help get it up and running.
We had old semi-trailers that were no longer roadworthy, so I decided to tear all the flooring, the wood flooring out of it, and repurpose it, sand it and repurpose it. So all the wood you see in the bar, both at Main and here at Beale, and the outdoor stage is made from old semi-trailer wood, including the chairs that I'm sitting on right now.
Ghost River Brewing Company has a number of beers to choose from inside the brewery and in stores, with names like Zippin' Pippin, Grindhouse, and Rocket 88. There's even a specialty brew called Brunch Please, reminiscent of buttermilk blueberry pancakes.
On tap currently we have 12 that are on tap. We add another 4 that are packaged in cans, sell at retail. We try to make a new beer every 2 weeks.
As for why Keski decided to open another location so close to the first one on Main,
there's 2 reasons. The main brewery is a bigger production facility with a traditional tap room. We decided that we wanted to put our brewery and the name, the Ghost River name, in a very popular area of Memphis where people can walk to. And we're on the side of Beale that has kind of been forgotten over the years. So we're on the east end or towards 4th Street part of Beale. To try to liven this part of Beale, it's everything. It's a sports bar, it's a family venue, it's a music venue.
As for food, it's there too, but Keski outsourced that side of the business to New Wing Order.
So New Wing Order was a food truck company, very popular, and I placed them in here in the first brick and mortar restaurant.
Ghost River on Beale is an official Green Bay Packers bar, and you'll find a lot of Packers paraphernalia on the walls.
I brought my home to Memphis.
Don't get it twisted though. Keski may be a Memphis transplant since 2010, but he loves this city.
We're big supporters of the Tigers as well. We go to Tiger games. We're actually formal partners with 9OFC and the Redbirds, where we actually have a partnership with them. We're massive support. Season ticket holders of the Grizzlies, have been for 11 years. Al Capone comes and does his whip that trick thing on the stage before every game.
So, be it South Main or Beale, Keski stakes his reputation on his beer and the atmosphere, and all are welcome.
So people should expect to come in there and be in an environment that is open, diverse, friendly, and they get a choice of both worlds, quiet or vibrant.
Ghost River Brewing Company, showcasing craft brews using the natural resources that make us proud to call this place home. Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Hey, Hey, good morning. We had some rain move through overnight when most of us were sleeping. So a little bit of rain and drizzle early this morning. All this rain is pushing east, though. You can see that on our radar loop. So the rest of the day actually looks really nice, especially once we get past lunchtime. Rain chances come to an end just after 9 a.m. We'll end up at the upper 60s at noon, 75 at 3. Mostly sunny at 5 o'clock, 76 degrees, and then upper 70s at 7. We have warm air in place today, 80s in the forecast tomorrow, 70 still on Wednesday. There will actually be a low pressure system with a cold front attached, kind of similar to the setup we had on Friday, moving through portions of Iowa. That will bring a 4 out of 5 for severe weather, 3 out of 5 for most of Arkansas. But notice the severe weather threat is lower as you look off to the east. This will be for Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning for our area in particular. Forest City, Wynne, Blytheville, Jonesboro have that elevated risk for severe weather. West Tennessee, North Mississippi, slightly lower threat. But Wynne, Forest City, Jonesboro, Blytheville, with a lot of instability in place, you may see a thunderstorm that develops with some damaging winds, hail, tornado threat on the lower end in our area, but certainly something I'm watching. I know last thing you want to hear after we're already still cleaning up from those tornadoes from Friday. Wednesday, again, as that system moves east, that severe weather threat weakened significantly. Right now we have a 1 out of 5. Wouldn't be shocked if we saw that upgraded to a 2 out of 5, just because, again, instability is really high with this system. If we did get a storm develop, strong winds would be the main concern. It'll be breezy anyway, so a storm could easily hit 40, 50 miles per hour, and also some small hail will be possible. So let's look at timing. So an isolated severe storm possible in Harrisburg right around 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll still have a thunderstorm or two through 11 a.m., although we're really not seeing much of that rain developing until around noon. This is 12:30. Along this line, you can get some damaging wind gusts from Harrisburg into Wynne, into Forest City. That line pushes over the Mississippi River into Shelby County, including in Memphis. Around 3 o'clock, we see that stretch up into Brownsville and Crockett County as well. And then in the evening, most of that rain situates in North Mississippi. For several hours, you'll have heavy rain. This is 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday. Probably going to see this move in around 7 or 8 and last through late in the evening in Oxford and Corinth and Senatobia. Rain should be coming to an end by the time you wake up on Thursday morning, but rainfall total is obviously higher in that area in North Mississippi. 1 to 2 inches of rain, about a ½ inch to an inch for West Tennessee, eastern Arkansas. But this is just the average rainfall total. A downpour could easily bring that rainfall total, even here in Memphis, up to an inch. This weekend, rain chances drop down to about 20%, but there's still the potential there with that front stalled to our south, especially in North Mississippi. If we did see rain, it'll probably be late Saturday night into early Sunday. And then temperatures will be in the upper 60s Saturday, lower 70s on Sunday. So it feels mild, at least for our Easter weekend forecast. If you want to keep up to date on that chance for thunderstorms Wednesday, and also with that weekend forecast, you can get that on our First Alert Weather app. We keep updating it several times a day for you. Today we're in the upper 70s. Tomorrow, 85 in Memphis. Some spots may even get up to the upper 80s tomorrow, and it will feel humid, feeling more like a late spring, early summer day tomorrow. It'll definitely make you miss some cooler weather. 75 degrees on Wednesday, but behind Wednesday's cold front, temperatures are going to drop. Upper 40s for lows on Wednesday night. Then we're in the lower 60s on Thursday and Friday. Again, rain chances on the lower end for the weekend. So if you have Easter plans, maybe doing some Easter egg hunts on Sunday, thankfully with those low rain chances, I'm not expecting any big issues or cancellations of any Easter activities over the weekend.
All right, let's talk about cybersecurity awareness, because that is the month of October. In addition to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's also Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And get this stat here. More than 75% of Americans recently shared that they were targeted by an online scam, which can include donation scams, tech support scams, romance scams, cryptocurrency scams, and much, much more. Does that surprise you? It doesn't surprise me, but it's certainly pervasive, it seems, in every part of the country. Let's bring in a cybersecurity expert right now. Jaya Ballou is joining us. And Jaya, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And I understand that the sandwich generation seems to be one of those generations that really has a lot of responsibilities when it comes to this. Sandwich generation, my understanding is that, because I'm a part of it, you have aging parents and you have kids. The kids tend to be skewing a little bit younger. Is that what the sandwich generation is? Let's define it for everybody.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. And just like you, I'm also part of it. So it's not an easy spot to be in because you've got this double role where you have to be the primary caregiver, both for your kids, but also make sure your parents are okay. And one area that's often overlooked when we're doing all the other responsibilities is around cybersecurity.
Yeah, one of the most frustrating things for me, especially when my father-in-law lived with us, was that how many phone calls he got from the constant people that, you know, may sound nice over the phone, may sound trusting over the phone, but it was a bunch of garbage, and it's just so frustrating. So what's the best advice for not only managing what older Americans have to deal with when it comes to scams, but also our children too?
Yeah, so, you know, the good news is that both for the older Americans that we need to take care of, as well as those younger kids that we've got as our primary role, they're the same stuff that we have to do for both of them. And I like to kind of couch it into three things. Like, the first thing is prevention, making sure that they have some good cyber hygiene practices ready to go that are enabled by default. And that can be a good antivirus, a good web browser, and a strong VPN that they can use because they want to be connected from anywhere on every device all the time. So that's a good starting point. You know, majority of threats are blocked. The second thing is just really about detection, being vigilant, watching out for those red flags, knowing when to recognize one of those phone calls is completely illegitimate, that your bank never wants to ask information about your passwords or that kind of stuff by calling you, and especially an unsolicited call asking you for information is not normal. So watching out for those red flags is the second thing, you know, really being vigilant and paying attention to that scam-like behavior. And the third thing, which is really like not easy to do when it happens, but, you know, you need to kind of prepare it before it happens, is in case you actually do get attacked or do fall initially for the scam, how to stop it quickly, and then also how to get help, whether that means informing police or finding someone in your network that can actually like undo the harm that was done. Having that ready before you need it is super important to getting this right.
What about for younger children? By the way, I love that response. That was excellent. Cyber hygiene. That's a term that I want to develop there and just kind of use from now on. And VPN. I mean, I feel like VPNs are just so underrated right now. They need to be more prevalent. What about for younger children out there? Because, you know, the older Americans, that seems to be, it gets a lot of press about ways to protect older Americans, but sometimes our children are left vulnerable on screens and devices. What are some good practices for some of the parents out there?
So I'm a mom of 3, and I've got to tell you that in some cases, I find my kids way more savvy, even though like I was hacking from the age of 9 and I feel like I really know what the internet is. I find them super savvy on some of these social media platforms, and they've already figured out, you know, how to have hacks for games. They're doing all this stuff. And I feel like the best way to educate them is not to prohibit them from doing something. And especially as parents, maybe less tech savvy than their kids these days, the best thing to do is to have that conversation about what is safe, what is acceptable, how to spot something that, you know, is doing something that's actually evil. And also, like, we need to worry more about our kids about things like cyberbullying. You know, are they actually having a good time on some of these social media platforms that they're on? Or when they're exchanging information while they're playing Fortnite or whatever, you know, that information is not something that's actually confidential. When they're being requested to send images, how they actually protect their profiles on any of these platforms, you know, just making sure it's invite only, and that the photos that my daughter, for example, is uploading, that they're not just being spread out. You know, I'm trying to take the role of not saying no, because I don't want to find them circumventing my advice, but finding a way to actually have a dialogue and like really talk to them and engage and let them understand what the threat is so they make the best decisions they possibly can.
I know you mentioned a little bit about this earlier, but for viewers out there that want to is secure their household as much as possible, virus protection software, that sort of thing, passwords, maybe 2 identification verifications, that sort of thing. Give me give me a list of the best preventable ways so that you're not hacked.
Okay, so I mean, we started out with those 3. I love this, by the way. I could do this all day. But we started out with those 3 of a good antivirus. And again, it doesn't matter to me which one you have, as long as it's a solid antivirus. And you can go out there and look at AV comparatives or any of the other sites to figure out which one fits your price range and your purpose best. Start there. The second one is really, when you go online, a good secure browser. Third one is a VPN for all of your devices, so that when you're using the internet from other Wi-Fi points, that you're still safe. And then, like what you mentioned, a lot of platforms that we engage with online already have 2-factor authentication enabled. We as users, though, need to turn it on. There's some user involvement in order to be able to use that benefit that's already there. So I urge everybody on the platforms that you use, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, WhatsApp, etc., Signal, turn on that 2-factor authentication mechanism that's there. If you don't know how to do it, Google that for the platform that you're using. You'll find an easy set of instructions. The other thing about passwords, now, I have to tell you, this is a drama, and it's always been the worst thing ever. People do not like complex passwords because they don't remember them, so they wind up writing it on a sticky note or losing it or whatever. So the best thing is to have a unique password for everything you're using, and then to manage that with a password manager. So the easiest way to do that unique password for every site, and then having it slightly complex, is to let it go into a password manager. And there's a bunch of good ones out there. Pick one. Make sure you use it, consistently, use it across your different devices, and already that will make a huge amount of difference. There's also like small things that I like to point out, which is really, when you are getting links in emails, just don't arbitrarily click. Try to find out where that link is taking you, and then you can better click that by yourself by typing it in, if that's a valid and legitimate email. Try to have, for sensitive information, an offline channel, like a phone call that you can make to verify that that's legitimate requests that you're actually getting.
I know you got to wrap up a little bit here, Jaya, but what about social media with our youngsters out there? They're on it a lot. What are best practices for social media?
Well, again, my thing that I do with my kids is to just agree on a certain amount of screen time to monitor usage. And one of the things that I did with my son very early on is that we actually read the terms and conditions of the platform that he was using. And it sounds absolutely horrible and a terrible thing to do with your Sunday afternoon, but it's actually really useful, because then they suddenly understand that they're being followed and tracked even when they're not on that social media platform. And all of that off-platform activity about them is used to collect information about all of their browsing behavior. And so when my son found that out, he actually said, you know what, I don't want to do this now. This is not the goal. We want to empower people to embrace online technology and be having some concept of digital freedom when they go online. But again, it begins with the dialogue. Just start the conversation. I think that's a great thing to do in this month of cybersecurity awareness.
What a novel concept, reading the terms and conditions. I love it. Is there anything else we can go to for more information? Some of the things that you've said, it's been fantastic. Where can our viewers get that information online?
Well, just start at the Avast.com sandwich generation site. So www.avast.com sandwich generation. And we have a bunch of resources there. There's an online quiz to test your awareness, stuff that you can print out and share with your parents. Just start there. I think a good starting point is, already means you're doing a lot of good effort for the future.
Well, Jaya Ballou is the Avast Chief Information Security Officer, and great tips, great conversation. Thanks so very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Memphis city leaders say they're focused on ways to reduce crime all across Memphis. During last week's Memphis Crime Summit, state and city leaders offered solutions to what has been a violent start to 2023. Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis says the state's new permitless carry law is leading to more violent crime, like the shooting at Privé restaurant that left 2 people dead.
In the past, most bar fights ended up being just that, a bar fight. Now everybody has a weapon, and we're seeing more and more simple arguments turning into gun battles. And that incident yesterday evening, there were probably at least three weapons that were confiscated by the Memphis Police Department, but there were several weapons that were actually used in that one instance.
Another serious issue is auto thefts. Memphis police say officers are making about 5.5 auto thefts arrests per day in the city of Memphis. Man accused of shooting two Memphis police officers, Man accused of shooting 2 Memphis police officers facing attempted murder charges is back home. Charles Williams II charged with 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault. The shooting happened last Thursday, East Waynes Road. Investigators say the officers were running after Williams when the shooting began. He's in the hospital and will be booked into the Shelby County Jail once he is released. Newborn screening saves thousands of lives every year with a simple heel prick test. But where you live certainly plays a role in whether potentially deadly disorders will be caught. National investigative reporter Joyce Sturgman dug through federal data and discovered disparities in testing from state to state.
It starts with a pinprick on the heel of a tiny baby just hours old. What's collected on these samples from babies just beginning their lives could tell a complex story that changes them forever.
It's great because that one tiny little blood spot, we can get so many answers.
Answers that come from newborn screening done on every baby born in the U.S. before they leave the hospital. The tests look for certain conditions that might not be obvious at birth, but may have devastating or deadly consequences.
Most of these conditions are incredibly rare. Generally, there's not a family history. Family may have never even heard of this.
Susan Tanksley has. She oversees the Texas State Lab responsible for running tests on hundreds of thousands of newborn screening cards.
So with this instrument, we're able to screen for 44 different disorders, and that's core conditions and secondary conditions on the recommended uniform screening panel.
The Recommended Uniform Screening Panel, or RUSP, is an ever-expanding list of conditions recommended by a federal committee. Right now, it's limited to just 37 conditions and diseases, but there's nothing uniform about its implementation as states make their own mandates. Our national investigative team discovered the things your baby is screened for depend on where you live.
Your life shouldn't be dictated by the zip code you live in.
In many places, it is. And the loss of Elisa Seeger's son set her on a mission to change that.
I don't want another child to suffer the way he suffered because I can't really explain how bad that suffering was.
Aiden Seeger seemed like a happy, healthy 6-year-old. It was problems with his vision that led to a diagnosis of adrenoleukodystrophy, or ALD. The disease, which impacts the brain and nervous system, first took Aiden's sight, then his ability to function, and eventually his life just a year later. ALD was eventually added to New York's screening panel and the RUSP, but only 35 states and D.C. included in their newborn screening, even though it can be fatal.
It's just mind-boggling to me why this is such a difficult battle.
It's a war to save children that's being fought state by state, with borders often creating a dividing line that can be deadly. We spent months comparing data from the U.S. Health Resources and Services Administration, or HRSA, which tracks screening. We found there isn't a single state in the U.S. testing for all 37 conditions on the RUSP.
The things that are on the list now, I cannot come up with a health-based reason for them not to be uniformly screened in all 50 states and however many territories.
Strong words from Dr. Ned Kalaj, the man leading the committee that approves recommendations to the RUSP before they're given final approval by the health secretary. He says his highest priority after becoming chair last year was to try and get every state to implement testing for conditions already on the RUSP.
You can have 2 states that are just, one line apart on the map and have very different screening lists.
Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. How much sleep did you get? Did you get enough? Did you get too much? Did you maybe get enough, but not enough so that you want to take a nap later in the day? Well, we know that sleep helps repair and restore our body and also restore our brain. It also affects our overall well-being. In fact, poor sleep quality has been linked to all kinds of instances of mental health issues like anxiety and depression. And there is a new poll out that examines the relationship between proper sleep and depressive symptoms. I want to bring in now sleep expert Dr. Joseph Dervesky. He is joining us on the digital desk. And doctor, it's good to see you. Did you get enough sleep this morning?
Well, I'm doing several of these interviews today, so my sleep might have been a little disrupted last night.
Yeah, well, I work in the mornings, and I'll tell you, sometimes I don't have the best schedule, and I'll need a nap later in the day. But I'm curious about this new poll. What did this new sleep poll find?
And so the National Sleep Foundation conducts an annual Sleep in America poll, the premier public poll that examines attitudes, behaviors, trends around sleep. And this year, marking our 25th anniversary of Sleep Awareness Week, our poll focused on sleep health and mental health. And the results were pretty striking. First, starting on a positive note, we found that over 90% of adults who have good sleep health also are free of significant depressive symptoms. However, nearly 7 out of every 10 adults who are dissatisfied with their sleep report mild or greater levels of depressive symptoms. Adults who have just 2 nights a week with difficulties falling asleep or staying asleep have higher levels of depressive symptoms. And 50% of adults who don't get the National Sleep Foundation recommended 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night also have significant levels of depressive symptoms. So quite striking and strong relationship between sleep health and mental health.
Yeah, no question about that. No question about that, Doctor. I'm curious, though, because none of what you said surprises me. I'm just wondering, is there any differences from this year compared to last year?
Yeah, so this year, again, marking that 25th anniversary of Sleep Awareness Week, we really wanted our Sleep in America poll to focus on a highly impactful topic. Given recent comments from the U.S. Surgeon General, statements by the National Institutes on Health, Centers for Disease Control, we thought that there couldn't be a more important time to focus on something like the link between our sleep health and mental health. In previous years, our poll focuses on sleep and other topics, whether that's bedroom environment, work productivity. This year, we really wanted to focus on the mental health connection.
You know, mental health has become a center stage issue that so many of us are talking about these days coming out of this pandemic. And a lot of, when it comes to sleep, so much of our mental well-being really depends on the amount of sleep. Is that right?
Yeah, we like to think about sleep as a foundational, behavior through which we can live our best lives. So sleep health is connected to our, as I mentioned, mental health and well-being, our physical health, our social connectedness. It really touches every aspect of our lives. So getting that enough of the quality of sleep each night really sets the stage for everyone to be their best selves during the day.
So let's talk about some easy, simple steps to improve our sleep each and every night. We have thousands of people watching us, Doctor, and they're just tuning in, and they probably want to know, okay, tonight I want to get some really good sleep that's going to help me and my physical and mental being. What do I need to do?
Yeah, the National Sleep Foundation is committed to helping anyone and everyone be their best self. Towards that goal, we recommend 6 small steps that everyone can take. 3 steps during the day and 3 steps at night. The 3 daytime steps include things like getting exposure to bright light, especially in the morning hours, becoming more physically active, getting exercise like several days a week, and eating your meals at consistent times each day. During the evening hours, we encourage everyone to refrain from alcohol, tobacco, and heavy meals before bedtime. We want everyone to enjoy a relaxing wind down routine that involves putting those electronic devices away about an hour before bed, and that also allows for 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Prioritize your sleep. And finally, where you sleep also matters. Sleep in a sleep-friendly environment. Keep your room cool, keep it dark, keep it quiet. Importantly, our poll did show that people who engage in these healthy sleep behaviors, number one, sleep better, and number two, are also less likely to experience significant depressive symptoms. Now, we also know that there's more work that we can do because the average US adult only engages in about 60% of these behaviors across a typical week.
Okay, sleep expert Dr. Joseph Durjevsky. We really appreciate some of these guidelines here. Before we let you go, is there a place online where some of our viewers can get this information you talked about?
Yes, we'd love all your viewers to visit us online at theNSF.org. We've been the nation's trusted source for sleep-related information and sleep health-related information for over 30 years, so please visit us online.
Okay, appreciate it. Dr. Durjevsky, thanks so very much.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, good morning. We had some rain move through overnight when most of us were sleeping. Still a little bit of rain and drizzle early this morning. All this rain is pushing east, though. You can see that on our radar loop. So the rest of the day actually looks really nice, especially once we get past lunchtime. Rain chances come to an end just after 9 a.m. We'll end up at the upper 60s at noon, 75 at 3. Mostly sunny at 5 o'clock, 76 degrees, and then upper 70s at 7. We have warm air in place today, 80s in the forecast tomorrow, 70s still on Wednesday. There will actually be a low pressure system with a cold front attached, kind of similar to the setup we had on Friday, moving through portions of Iowa. That will bring a 4 out of 5 for severe weather, 3 out of 5 for most of Arkansas. But notice the severe weather threat is lower as you look off to the east. This will be for Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning for our area in particular. Forest City, Wynne, Blytheville, Jonesboro have that elevated risk for severe weather. West Tennessee, North Mississippi, slightly lower threat. But Wynne, Forest City, Jonesboro, Blytheville, with a lot of instability in place, you may see a thunderstorm that develops with some damaging winds, hail, tornado threat on the lower end in our area, but certainly something I'm watching. I know last thing you want to hear after we're already still cleaning up from those tornadoes from Friday. Wednesday, again, as that system moves east, that severe weather threat weakened significantly. Right now we have a 1 out of 5. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw that upgraded to a 2 out of 5, just because, again, instability is really high with this system. If we did get a storm develop, strong winds would be the main concern. It'll be breezy anyway, so a storm could easily hit 40, 50 miles per hour, and also some small hail will be possible. So let's look at timing. So an isolated severe storm possible in Harrisburg right around 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll still have a thunderstorm or two through 11 a.m., although we're really not seeing much of that rain developing until around noon. This is 12:30. Along this line, you can get some damaging wind gusts from Harrisburg into Wynne, into Forest City. That line pushes over the Mississippi River into Shelby County, including in Memphis. Around 3 o'clock, we see that stretch up into Brownsville and Crockett County as well. And then in the evening, most of that rain situates in North Mississippi. For several hours, you'll have heavy rain. This is 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday. Probably going to see this move in around 7 or 8 and last through late in the evening in Oxford and Corinth and Senatobia. Rain should be coming to an end by the time you wake up on Thursday morning, but rainfall total is obviously higher in that area in North Mississippi. 1 to 2 inches of rain, about a ½ inch to an inch for West Tennessee, eastern Arkansas. But this is just the average rainfall total. A downpour could easily bring that rainfall total, even here in Memphis, up to an inch. This weekend, rain chances drop down to about 20%, but there's still the potential there with that front stalled to our south, especially in North Mississippi. If we did see rain, it'll probably be late Saturday night into early Sunday. And then temperatures will be in the upper 60s Saturday, lower 70s on Sunday. So it feels mild, at least for our Easter weekend forecast. If you want to keep up to date on that chance for thunderstorms Wednesday, and also with that weekend forecast, you can get that on our First Alert Weather app. We keep updating it several times a day for you. Today we're in the upper 70s. Tomorrow, 85 in Memphis. Some spots may even get up to the upper 80s tomorrow, and it will feel humid, feeling more like a late spring, early summer day tomorrow. It'll definitely make you miss some cooler weather. 75 degrees on Wednesday, but behind Wednesday's cold front, temperatures are going to drop. Upper 40s for lows on Wednesday night. Then we're in the lower 60s on Thursday and Friday. Again, rain chances on the lower end for the weekend. So if you have Easter plans, maybe doing some Easter egg hunts on Sunday, thankfully with those low rain chances, I'm not expecting any big issues or cancellations of any Easter activities over the weekend.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Hansen here at the Action News 5 digital desk. You know, up to 30% of COVID patients end up with long COVID. It's a serious, debilitating problem that can last a lifetime. Many people dealing with symptoms months and months after this, after developing COVID. And long COVID has already upended the lives of more than 20 million Americans, and its impact on the economy and also the healthcare system is well into the billions of dollars. So this morning is something we're going to be focusing on here at the digital desk. And here to talk more about it, we have Dr. Peter Rowe. He is a long COVID expert, and he also is a professor at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, along with Cynthia Adenig. She had mild COVID early during the pandemic, developed long COVID, and is now recovering from disabling, life-threatening conditions. We appreciate you joining us here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, Dr. Rowe, I want to start with you, just for people to understand really what long COVID is. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. So long COVID refers to a range of health problems that can occur after an initial infection. It doesn't have to follow a severe infection. We know that, as Cynthia will tell you, that it can occur after mild or even asymptomatic infections. And when it's at its worst, it can really interfere with the things that people used to be able to do and take for granted, like taking a long walk, working, shopping, going to advance their education. The main symptoms that we see after about 3 months are things like severe fatigue that can really interfere with activity. If people exceed their usual activities, they can trigger what's called post-exertional malaise, or a post-exertional worsening of all of their symptoms. Lightheadedness is common, along with high heart rates and low blood pressure. And many people have great difficulty thinking and concentrating like they used to. You can see other problems affecting the respiratory system, like coughing, changes in taste and smell, and essentially the symptoms of long COVID can be quite varied and originate from any organ that COVID initially infects.
And it's frustrating for those that end up with COVID, and then it's like this just doesn't go away, that head fogginess, and I mean, even other things. You said it varies. And even if you have a mild case, this is something that can happen to you. One thing I want to ask, though, could this impact people that even have been vaccinated? What are you seeing? Because it seems like this is something that we're still learning more about.
That's absolutely correct. And we know that vaccination protects against long COVID, but it's not complete. And so that if you get a breakthrough infection after being vaccinated and boosted, you can still have long COVID develop afterwards. And I think the fact that the virus is continuing to circulate in the community means that all of us are at risk for further infections and possibly for these severe long-term symptoms.
Now, Dr. Rowe, are there any treatments or cures for someone that is living with this long COVID? What can people do?
So two points of emphasis there. One is that there's no single agent that we have in our medical toolkit that will treat long COVID in all instances. And that needs to be a focus of the research that's going on around the world. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing to do. So we have treatments that can be very effective for migraines if people have post-COVID migraines. We have good treatments for their high heart rates and low blood pressure problems that are common in the circulation after COVID. And we can treat a variety of pain problems as well. So there are treatments out there for specific symptoms, but still no universally effective single treatment for the entire illness.
So, Cynthia, I kind of want to bring you in and talk to you just because you're someone that has experienced this. You had that mild case, and I'm sure you never imagined that you would end up with long COVID. Just tell me about what that was like for you. What were some of the things that you experienced?
Yeah, I never imagined my life the way it is today. From my mild infection that I got in March 2020, I didn't have what was considered to be the well-known symptoms of active COVID. In fact, it was so mild, it was sniffles for maybe 2 days. And afterwards, I thought I was okay, but as the weeks went on, I developed life-threatening, severe illnesses. And some of that was extremely high heart rate, even if I'm sitting or laying. I experienced crippling fatigue that made just brushing my hair impossible. And I also developed an anaphylaxis type reaction to a wide range of food and water overnight that led to me being bedbound for weeks. And I even lost my mobility and relied on a wheelchair for mobility for several months. And not enough is known about long COVID. So I didn't have proper care for several months. And I still today remain mostly homebound. And I need a lot of medications just to eat every day, to have just a tiny bit of a function, but I still remain disabled 2.5 years into long COVID.
I can't even imagine. And for you, I mean, this was obviously a major life change. And when you first started having these symptoms that came up, did you immediately think COVID or what? I mean, did you have any idea that that's what this was? There, I mean, at the time, I don't even know if there was the term long COVID at that point.
You're correct. At that time, there was no term long COVID, so I had no idea what was wrong with me. No doctor that I went to several doctors, several ER trips. They had no idea what was wrong with me. They misdiagnosed me as having anxiety, but because there was so little known about why I was suddenly reacting to all those foods, I lost 50 pounds in 4 months, and it really was life-threatening. I developed life-threatening illness because of those symptoms. Then I was afraid that I was going to die, and because I had no answers. And then I found an online support group before long COVID had a name, and there was so many people, tens of thousands, that had my symptoms. I was like, oh, okay, this is it. This is exactly what this is, and that really helped me to learn how to manage my symptoms along the way.
And, you know, I've talked with people that have felt like that, you know, I'm still dealing with symptoms well after, you know, having COVID. And in a sense, they felt frustrated because it was one of those things where like people just couldn't understand when they would say that, you know, my brain is foggy, you know, or have these types of symptoms. Was that something that you experienced, and what did it mean for you when you finally did find that support group and you said, you know what, I'm not the only one experiencing this?
Yeah, it was really confusing to figure out what was happening to me, because there were so many symptoms all over my body, top to bottom, and to have that cognitive decline on top of the crippling fatigue made even going to one doctor's appointment, I would have to rest for 2 days after just one doctor's appointment, and I would struggle to tell the doctor my symptoms because of the cognitive decline. So it's like a double whammy of bad. And that support group was really instrumental in validating me when doctors at that time couldn't. Their education for doctors just was not there. And even now, I know I'm still not properly diagnosed with all the things and the ways that COVID has affected me even 2.5 years into it.
You know, and I see here that obviously now you're a long COVID patient advocate, and you've testified before Congress about the need for long COVID support. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. Unfortunately, one time when I went to the hospital for dangerously low oxygen and dangerously high heart rate. And the ER staff didn't believe that anything was wrong with me, even though the machines were registering that my heart rate was extremely high. And so they threatened to have me arrested for seeking care during that incident. And because I in my wheelchair, started filming it, that catalyzed me into becoming an advocate. And I said, if this is happening to me, I know it's happening to others. And then I was invited to testify about that experience and really the need for doctors to learn to recognize what long COVID looks like, and believe people who have symptoms that are hard to describe and try to get them that care that they need to recover.
And Dr. Rowe, this is where I want to kind of bring you back in, just to kind of see what's being done to find out more answers about long COVID and what more should we be doing. And I know y'all got to wrap up soon, so if you could just kind of maybe touch on that and say where we can get some more information, we can wrap up here, because I know you have some other interviews coming up.
Sure. So one of the places you can get information and learn about this is the solvelongcovid.org website, where you can get information about symptoms, learn about how you could get involved. This is a nonprofit that has been working in this field for over 30 years, trying to catalyze interest in this illness. In terms of what's being done, they're offering seed grants for junior researchers. And we need lots more research nationally and internationally. Thankfully, that's happening because of this huge economic impact of the long COVID. But the Recover Initiative at the NIH is one big study, but there are many, many studies that people can get involved in. We need a lot more in terms of clinical sites to care for people with these problems. Most people with long COVID are finding that it's hard to access medical care. So that's an area that we really need to address in the healthcare system.
Dr. Rowe, Cynthia, I appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing your story. I know y'all have some other interviews to get to, but I appreciate your time, and I could talk about this on and on and on. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, multiple tornadoes also touched down in the Little Rock area. In fact, one person was killed there. Several dozen people injured. The tornado destroyed homes, overturned vehicles, knocked down trees and power lines. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders says she and other elected leaders are doing everything they can to get people back on their feet.
From a city, a county, a state, and a federal perspective, I would say that everyone is working in total lockstep, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure the people of our state are back on their feet again.
And Governor Sanders thanked first responders for their efforts for making these rescues. Now, the damage is catastrophic in McNairy County, Tennessee. This is some video from the Action News 5 drone camera. You can see widespread damage there in McNairy County, where 9 people were killed. And as you can imagine, among the loss of life there, the cleanup is just beginning. Former President Donald Trump says he plans to speak tomorrow following his indictment charges hearing. Federal prosecutors argue he directed his lawyer to make hush money payments to pay off an adult film actress in 2016. The former president is calling this political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. Mortgage rates slightly lower this week than last week, according to Freddie Mac. This week, the average 30-year fixed mortgage rate in the U.S. 6.3%. Last week, it was 6.4%. It's the third consecutive week that rates have trended lower. The tax deadline is rapidly approaching. It's Tuesday, April 18th. You got a few extra days this year to mail your taxes or hit send electronically. Average refund last year was almost $3,500, but there are some changes you need to know. Take a look. 2023 comes with a standard deduction increase to $12,900 for single filers and married couples filing separately, $19,400 for head of household filers, that includes single parents, and $25,900 for married couples filing jointly. As for charitable donations, the $600 charitable deduction for non-itemizers, people taking the standard deduction, has gone away. If you found yourself with hefty medical bills in 2022, you can deduct any medical expenses above 7.5% of your adjusted gross income. If you're self-employed, there are a bunch of deductions you can claim on your tax return, including travel expenses and the home office deduction. But if you're one of the millions of people who work remotely, You won't be able to claim the home office deduction since it's reserved for self-employment people only. And if you're on the road for work, you're looking at 2 mileage rates. 58.5 cents a mile applies for travel from January through June last year, and it's 62.5 cents per mile from July through December. You got kids? Well, here's a tax credit just for you. The child tax credit lets you credit up to $2,000 per dependent child under the age of 17. The income limit is $400,000 for married, filing jointly, and $200,000 for all others. All right, so the IRS warned people to expect smaller tax refunds in 2023. Two of the big reasons: no economic impact payments in 2022, so taxpayers won't get extra stimulus money in their 2023 tax refund checks. Also, expanded tax credits and deductions like the child tax credit and charitable contribution deduction reverted to pre-COVID-19 levels. Have you ever thought how many times you go to Google to search for things? Well, think about the analytical data it takes and what you can review when you look at everybody's search at Google over the course of a weekend or a week. Well, there are trends that you see develop over the course of however many days or weeks. Well, we want to talk now with our friends at Google about what was trending in the month of March, and that's why we're bringing on Marlee McAlilley once again to talk about the trends that we saw in March. Marlee, great to see you again on the digital desk. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Great. Happy to have you. So let's talk about the March trends. I see a lot of things there when it comes to what people searched. St. Paddy's Day, not a surprise. March Madness, maybe with daylight savings times, people sleep. I always like looking at the odd news category, and I see astrology. Tell me more about that.
Yes, the odd news is always so funny. It's very surprising to see what comes up each month. And over the month of March, it was actually moon phases and lunar phases. So people were looking at moon phases. And of course, every month there is a new moon. But March was special because there was a new moon and a spring equinox happening. So people actually this month were most interested in how their moon phase impacts their soulmate connection. So there's a new trend going around where people are looking at their moon phases, the moon phases on the date of their birth and that of their love interest to see if it matches to create a perfect full moon. So a lot of searches around astrology and how moon phases impact your soulmate connection.
I saw one study that said that astrology is making a comeback with a younger generation. It seems like, you know, this search trend right here is kind of proof of that. Lunar phases and determining whether your soulmate is who in fact your soulmate is. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. So the Oscars, another big search thing, and there was different phases with the Oscars. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so with the Oscars, there's a lot of searches going into the Oscars. People were looking at various nominees for Best Actress, Best Actor, you know, Best Feature Film. There was a lot of interest when it came to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Of course, we saw a lot of winners come from that film, so that was awesome to see. And then following the Oscars, one of the top trending searches related to the Oscars was actually Jamie Lee Curtis's acceptance speech. If you had a chance to see it, it's really wonderful. She's just talking about how much she loves the craft of acting and really thanking a lot of the people who helped get her to where she is today, including her parents, who themselves are legendary actors. So her parents actually spiked in search interest as well over this past month.
Yeah, I remember seeing bits and pieces of that clip. Very emotional time for her. Congratulations to her, of course. I'm a big sports fan, so March Madness was a big thing for me watching it. So many upsets this year, and I'm wondering if like the March Madness searches were a little bit more than in years past, but still dominated the trends.
Yes, definitely dominated the sports category this month. As always, every March, people are constantly searching for March Madness, but some searches that were really high on the list for this year were bracket, of course. I'm sure, as you said, so many upsets. I can't imagine how that impacted most people's brackets. So people are trying to stay abreast on the latest news and what's happening with brackets, how likely people are to get a perfect bracket. And of course, like also the underdog stories when it comes to the men's Final Four. There's lots of of teams that I know are making it, I think, to the Final Four for the first time in history, or at least a long time. So a lot of people are interested in hearing about, some unsung teams from the past that are now making it into the limelight this month.
No question about it, Marley. Something else that was interesting, I know that there's a food category, and Pi Day, which is March 14th, 3.14 Pi Day and all that. I know that close to my house, there's a pizza joint that has a special going every day or every year for Pi Day, 2 for 1 or something like that. But were people searching pizza pies, apple pies? Tell me the search trend.
Yeah, so across the U.S., people are mostly searching for apple pies followed by pumpkin pies. But in Tennessee specifically, people were actually searching most for strawberry pies when it came to berry pies, chicken pot pie, and also coconut cream pie. So lots of different fun pie selections to meet your tastes, whether that's savory or sweet. So lots of people are looking for different ways that they can indulge on Pi Day.
Ooh, coconut cream pie, yummy. Finally, St. Patty's Day. It's such a big holiday in different parts of the country, and I understand that Illinois had the most searches when it comes to states for St. Patty's Day. I guess, I know Chicago is huge when it comes to celebrations there.
Yes, absolutely. So the top trending search related to St. Patrick's Day was the Chicago River being green. People are wondering how long the Chicago River is green for, what makes it green. So they definitely go all out in celebrating St. Patty's Day. I know that there's a huge, Irish American heritage in Chicago and the state of Illinois. So they definitely go all out when it comes to celebrating the holiday, and lots of people are interested to see how they do it.
Now, these trends, people can find for themselves and kind of look at them and analyze them, right? Can you tell us?
Absolutely. You can go to google.com/trends to look at any topics. You can also filter by region, by state, and see what's trending in your area.
Okay, Marley McAlilly, we really appreciate your time. Thanks for breaking down these trends. Always fun and enjoyable to check that out. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Take a look at this. This is the flyer for the brand new spring book sale that's happening later this month. Friends of the Library there, the Benjamin L. Hooks Central Library on Poplar Avenue. Check it out. Thursday, April 20th, Friday, the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. All kinds of books will be on sale, along with CDs, DVDs, vinyl, and much more. Let's talk now about this book sale with Mary Aronoff. She is with the Friends of the Library, surrounded by books herself. Mary, good morning. How are you?
Hi, nice to be with you.
I appreciate you being here. So tell me about this spring book sale. I know that we cover it for the most part every year, but it sounds like it's just going to be one of these great sales that people are going to want to take part in, right?
Oh, yeah, it's great. We have the sale twice a year. This is our semi-annual sale. We have it every spring and fall. And all year long, we go through all of our donations and our books that the library feels that they no longer need. And we will pack all these books. We will pack CDs. We have DVDs. We have sheet music. We have records. We have magazines. And we will gather them all together and haul them upstairs in the big conference rooms of the library and set all these thousands and thousands of books and CDs and records out on this gigantic floor. When you go in, you're almost overwhelmed by all the books we have.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. So I'm looking at the flyer right now, Mary, and it says Thursday is a member preview for Friends of the Library. That's from 3 until 7 o'clock in the evening. You got Friday from 10 to 6, and then Saturday 10 to 5, and then Sunday it says bag sale. Tell me what bag sale means.
Well, first let me mention something about Thursday night. That's the Friends of the Library preview sale. So if you are a friend of the library, you get to come in and look at all our books. You get first shot at them. But you can join at the door, and it's only $10 per year for individual, $25 per family. The next 2 days, we're open to the public. So, anybody can come in and look at books. And then whatever is left over after 3 days of this sale, whatever we have left over, we sell in what we call a bag sale. And that's from 11 until 2 on Sunday. And we provide the bags and we provide the boxes. Whatever you can fit in a bag is $6 per bag. Whatever you can fit in a box, it is $12 per box. However, you can't be guaranteed you're going to get, the best selection. The best selection, you should come in on the first 3 days of the sale.
Yes, of course, of course. And I know this is, and again, we're looking at the flyer right now that talks about it. Again, Thursday, April 20th, all the way to Sunday, April 23rd. This is the spring book sale. And I know that the money goes to Friends of the Library, but can you tell me specifically where the money is put to use?
Yes, I can tell you a little bit about that. 100% of the funds we raise go to support the programs and the services of the library. We help with the library's collection, including books and films and media. We also support annual programs and ongoing programs. Some of the annual programs that we support are Bookstock, which invites local authors to come and make presentations to the public. We have something called Boo Book, which is our Halloween program where little kids come and get free books and candy and craft supplies. And we also have a senior health fair. And then some of the branches have ongoing programs that they decided that are good for their particular community. Some of the managers of our branches have decided to hold yoga classes, nutrition classes, exercise classes, art classes, and book clubs. Anything that our local managers think might be very helpful to make their community better. And so we help support those programs. We also help support our robotics team. We have a team that is in competition and goes from cities throughout the region and apparently has done pretty well. And we also have a program called Cloud 901, which is a program to support creative endeavors for teenagers. And we have supplied mentorship and equipment for them to do videos, recordings, poetry, art, any number of creative endeavors. So we have lots of ongoing programs like that too.
I'm curious about
what we
something.
earn, tries to go support these programs.
Okay, great. I appreciate you explaining that. I'm curious though, so you have thousands of books, CDs, DVDs. How do you and your team decide which books go for sale and which stay in the library?
Well, initially the books are brought to our back dock area and they're hauled to the hallway where many of us work in the basement, and we go through boxes and boxes of books. And we have some scanners which help us price books that might be worth going onto Amazon because they're so valuable. And again, we're trying to get the best price for what are donated. And if it doesn't go to Amazon and it's in pretty good shape, we will then put the books in a massive storage area where we have them categorized by subject. We have a Second Editions bookstore at the Central Library also. And so the managers from Second Edition will come down and look through what we received as donations, and they will pick books based upon what they think would be popular and sell in the bookstore. And then after that, or during the whole time, we will then start culling through the books and packing books. As soon as we finish one book sale, we are going through and starting to pack for the next book sale. And we do that every 6 months and then have our sale. So it's generally, Amazon, bookstore, book sale.
Sorry, Mary. I was just saying I have the flyer up here, and it has a QR code there at the bottom. And the QR code, I guess people can scan it and then kind of look online and see what kind of books, CDs, and DVDs are available. Is that true? Is there a place where people can go online and check it out?
You actually have to come physically to the library to see all the wonderful things we have. The QR code, I think, brings you to the Friends of the Library site, I believe. But in order to see the selection, and let me tell you, we have bunches of cookbooks. If you love cookbooks, we have lots of cookbooks. We have children's books, books for young adults. We have hardback and paperback books, science fiction books, mystery books, history, war, biography, travel, religion, you name it, we have it. So we have a very, very wide selection of books, but you physically will have to come look and see all the great selection we have. We also have some specially priced book sets, and they will be at the very entrance to our book sale.
Fantastic. Okay, Mary Aronoff with the Friends of the Library. I really appreciate you joining us. Quickly, let me get the address where people can go to get some more information about this sale.
The address for, well, they can do memphislibraryfriends.org is the website, and it will, if they went to that site and they hit on sale, it would pull up the information about the book sale. Also, if they go to the Memphis Public Library website, they will have it will be scrolled down with some other events that are happening, but they should be able to find the information there too. And I really hope that everybody will come to help support the Memphis Public Library, including all of its branches. Please come buy books, DVDs, records. Just come and have fun.
Excellent, excellent. Thursday, April 20th to Sunday, April 23rd, there at the Benjamin Hooks Library, the Central Library in the city of Memphis. Mary Aronoff, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you so much.
Hey, good morning. We had some rain move through overnight when most of us were sleeping. So a little bit of rain and drizzle early this morning. All this rain is pushing east, though. You can see that on our radar loop. So the rest of the day actually looks really nice, especially once we get past lunchtime. Rain chances come to an end just after 9 a.m. We'll end up at the upper 60s at noon, 75 at 3. Mostly sunny at 5 o'clock, 76 degrees, and then upper 70s at 7. We have warm air in place today, 80s in the forecast tomorrow, 70s still on Wednesday. There will actually be a low pressure system with a cold front attached, kind of similar to the setup we had on Friday, moving through portions of Iowa. That will bring a 4 out of 5 for severe weather, 3 out of 5 for most of Arkansas. But notice the severe weather threat is lower as you look off to the east. This will be for Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning for our area in particular. Forest City, Wynne, Blytheville, Jonesboro have that elevated risk for severe weather. West Tennessee, North Mississippi, slightly lower threat. But Wynne, Forest City, Jonesboro, Blytheville, with a lot of instability in place, you may see a thunderstorm that develops with some damaging winds, hail, tornado threat on the lower end in our area, but certainly something I'm watching. I know last thing you want to hear after we're already still cleaning up from those tornadoes from Friday. Wednesday, again, as that system moves east, that severe weather threat weakened significantly. Right now we have a 1 out of 5. Wouldn't be shocked if we saw that upgraded to a 2 out of 5, just because, again, instability is really high with this system. If we did get a storm develop, strong winds would be the main concern. It'll be breezy anyway, so a storm could easily hit 40, 50 miles per hour, and also some small hail will be possible. So let's look at timing. So an isolated severe storm possible in Harrisburg right around 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll still have a thunderstorm or two through 11 a.m., although we're really not seeing much of that rain developing until around noon. This is 12:30. Along this line, you can get some damaging wind gusts from Harrisburg into Wynne, into Forest City. That line pushes over the Mississippi River into Shelby County, including in Memphis. Around 3 o'clock, we see that stretch up into Brownsville and Crockett County as well. And then in the evening, most of that rain situates in North Mississippi. For several hours, you'll have heavy rain. This is 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday. Probably going to see this move in around 7 or 8 and last through late in the evening in Oxford and Corinth and Senatobia. Rain should be coming to an end by the time you wake up on Thursday morning, but rainfall total is obviously higher in that area in North Mississippi. 1 to 2 inches of rain, about a ½ inch to an inch for West Tennessee, eastern Arkansas. But this is just the average rainfall total. A downpour could easily bring that rainfall total, even here in Memphis, up to an inch. This weekend, rain chances drop down to about 20%, but there's still the potential there with that front stalled to our south, especially in North Mississippi. If we did see rain, it'll probably be late Saturday night into early Sunday. And then temperatures will be in the upper 60s Saturday, lower 70s on Sunday. So it feels mild, at least for our Easter weekend forecast. If you want to keep up to date on that chance for thunderstorms Wednesday, and also with that weekend forecast, you can get that on our First Alert Weather app. We keep updating it several times a day for you. Today we're in the upper 70s. Tomorrow, 85 in Memphis. Some spots may even get up to the upper 80s tomorrow, and it will feel humid, feeling more like a late spring, early summer day tomorrow. It'll definitely make you miss some cooler weather. 75 degrees on Wednesday, but behind Wednesday's cold front, temperatures are going to drop. Upper 40s for lows on Wednesday night. Then we're in the lower 60s on Thursday and Friday. Again, rain chances on the lower end for the weekend. So if you have Easter plans, maybe doing some Easter egg hunts on Sunday, thankfully with those low rain chances, I'm not expecting any big issues or cancellations of any Easter activities over the weekend.
We're watching families say goodbye to loved ones after last Monday's shooting at the Covington School in Nashville. Substitute teacher Cynthia Peak and 9-year-old student Haley Scrubs were both laid to rest over the weekend. The shooter, 28-year-old Audrey Hale, was taken down by police minutes after the first 911 call. 2 other students, 2 other adults also died that day. Friday's celebration of life for 9-year-old Evelyn Dakehouse, 9-year-old William Kenny's funeral was yesterday. The East Memphis Library there could be renamed in honor of Memphis police officer Jeffrey Redd. He was shot at the Poplar White Station Library back on February 6th after responding to a disturbance call. He later died at Regional 1. Now Memphis City Council members are looking to rename the library in his honor. It would be an honor for someone who has dedicated his life to the city of Memphis. Tomorrow's 55-year anniversary that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis. He was killed right outside the Lorraine Motel, which is now the National Civil Rights Museum. Museum leaders say they will hold their annual commemoration of the event. There will be several panels reviewing Dr. King's work. There's also going to be a wreath-laying ceremony at 6:01 p.m. marking the moment Dr. King was killed. Memphis Ballers celebrating a national championship. The LSU Tigers won its first ever women's national championship on Sunday, yesterday, against the University of Iowa. It's the first time it's happened. A Whitehaven standout, Jasmine Carson, dropped 22 points in the game. You can see her holding the trophy there. She posted a picture there and said, shout out to Memphis. She is a Whitehaven grad. Whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we are always focused on the weekend. We're focused on the weekend. We're focused on date night. We're focused on what we're going to do, who we're going to see, where we're going to eat. And that's why it's so important to talk to Jennifer Chandler, the food reporter at the Commercial Appeal. And Jennifer, I guess we're talking about date night, right?
Yes, we're definitely talking about date night places if you really wanted to impress that special someone in your life. These are the restaurants in Memphis where I would make a reservation to go. They most of them are a little bit of a splurge, but they are serve great food, great service. They're some of Memphis's top restaurants. And not only am I going to share what I think are the 10 most romantic restaurants in town, I'm going to share what my favorite table for 2 at each one of these restaurants is.
I love it. I love it. And I love this list. Let's hit it.
Okay, well, we're going to start with A. It's kind of in alphabetical order a little bit here. So Acre is one, and this is this restaurant in East Memphis, and I think a lot of people don't realize it's there because it's kind of tucked away off of South Perkins, kind of right where the road bends there. But look at this table. They have this table for 2 this was in a former home. So in the front dining room, which is the smaller dining room, there is this great fireplace, and there is this table for 2 in front of the fireplace, and you just feel like you're, you know, someplace, especially in the winter, someplace very romantic, and it is my favorite spot in the restaurant Acre. The restaurant is by Wally Joe and Andrew Adams. two fabulous restaurateur chefs, and they do great food. And if you haven't been there, you need to check out Acre. And if you're going for a date night, ask for that table. But you can't go wrong with any table there. Next on my list is Andrew Michael Italian Kitchen. And Andrew Michael, again, I love these places that are in homes because I think they would create this kind of like intimate dining experience that you don't, that you feel like you're kind of like this special person in someone's home. So they have these lovely dining rooms, but my favorite place is in the bar. And they have these banquettes that they created, and you can't really quite tell from this picture, but the banquettes, the sides are really, really tall. So when you sit in those banquettes, you feel like you're the only person in the restaurant. And I love that kind of nice, cozy feeling. Any seat in this restaurant is definitely romantic, and the food is great. And one of the things that I always do when we go there is I love their pastas, and I could never pick one. So we always share. So I think that a lot of the things on their menu are great for kind of like sharing for two. So definitely Andrew Michael Italian Kitchen, and ask for one of those booths in the bar. So moving on, Chez Philippe. So Chez Philippe has been, the quintessential fine dining restaurant in Memphis for decades. And they closed during COVID back in March, and they didn't reopen until this past fall. And so whereas the dining room is still that elegant, room that they have all the, you can see all of like the faux marble and all of there's no place like it anywhere else. But they're doing these tasting course menus there now, and they're really over the top. Excellent wine service. I went in December and enjoyed my meal and my experience there. I will say, if you're going to Chez Philippe, just plan on, it's a 2 to 3 hour meal. It is it's a production, but it is very romantic. And especially if you really want to splurge, I'd say get a room at the hotel afterwards. So that way you don't have to go home after enjoying your multi-course meal. And I forget how exact number it is. It may be 8 courses. It's a lot, but it's pretty fancy.
Yeah, I love Erling Jensen's. I was fortunate enough to be there last month, and it was a 7-course with wine pairings on each course. Unbelievable, modern French. You can't beat it.
Yeah, well, we'll mention Erling's now. That's on my list too. And but you don't have to. You can go for a special event where you have a tasting menu like that. But Erling's does do also a la carte, and they have my favorite table in Erling's. Is kind of, if you look in the dining room, that it is kind of, there's a tabletop table that is in front of the front windows. You can see it in this picture. You can see those windows right there. There's a two-top right there, and you just kind of feel like you're a little bit away from the fray of everything going on in the restaurant. And yeah, there's a reason Erling Jensen has been, the top chef in Memphis for, I would say he's probably going on 30 years, because I had a date night with my husband at La Tourelle when he ran La Tourelle, and we've been married 25 years, and that was before we got married. So, but Erling Jensen, that's in East Memphis. It's off of Yates. Again, it's in a former home, tucked away. It's just very, very, very charming. Going back to kind of my alphabetical order, if I can keep in it, is Coastal Fish Company. Now, this is not in a home. It is not intimate at all as far as like the site, but it has the best view, in my opinion, of any restaurant in the city of Memphis. It's sitting on the banks of Hyde Lake and Shelby Farms Park. And and if you go at sunset, look how stunning that is. Just absolutely beautiful. And one of the things that's great about this restaurant, I love any scene in this restaurant, but there's this fabulous, huge patio, and in the summertime they have fans going, so after sunset it really kind of cools down. But in the winter, what they do is they have put up sides that run across the front that are glass sides. It's a partition. It doesn't go all the way up, but they have heaters. So if it gets down to 20 degrees, it's not going to be comfortable there. But if it is 50 degrees, 60 degrees in Memphis, do not hesitate to sit outside and ask for one of the tables that is on the edge of the patio, that directly over, you have the front row seat to that amazing view of a sunset. And don't be afraid to go to dinner early. I know early bird special, it's really not a special, but as far as, you know, a 5:30 or 6, just time your reservation around sunset, and it's worth going to dinner early just because it's so breathtaking. Next on my list is Dory, and Dory is back on Brookhaven Circle. It's actually right next to Andrew Michael, and Dory is a lovely restaurant by David and Amanda Krog, and it is a tasting menu, kind of like we were talking about Chez Philippe, and my favorite table in this restaurant, as you can see right here, it is in the front corner, right across the street from right across from the kitchen. So they have an open kitchen, so you can watch the chefs in action, and it is just really kind of fun. And you know, since it's right there in the corner and has that partition, again, you feel like you're kind of intimate, and you feel like you're kind of in your own little private dining area. And those chefs are at this restaurant are so talented and so into what they do. It is so fun to watch them preparing your meal. So Dory is on my list, and I forget the exact night, but I should have written this down, but I believe it's on Wednesday nights. They do a little bit shorter. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday nights. You need to double check online, but they don't do their full course 6-course tasting meal. They do a smaller one that's 4 courses, so that you don't have to make as big a time commitment when you're eating at Dory. But it's such a fabulous dining experience. I just love it. Okay, next on my list is a Memphis classic that's been around forever, Folks Folly. You know, it's Memphis's original prime steakhouse. I mean, it's been around since the 70s, and there's nothing like those steaks that come to your table sizzling in butter. I mean, I've never had that anywhere else, but again, this is like all these other restaurants I keep saying that are like in those old original homes, but they have these private dining rooms that can seat 2 to 4. Sometimes they can seat 6, but they're kind of, they have these curtains, and they're kind of partitioned off. And it's just a really charming way to have a really intimate, romantic dinner, especially if your special someone loves steak. Folks Folly Prime Steakhouse is where I would go for that experience. Napa Cafe is right around the corner from Folks Folly. This is again in East Memphis. It's in the Sanderlin Center, and owner Glenda Hastings has just created this just really welcoming, well done restaurant. It's got a nice wine list. It's got a really good wine focus. And there are several places in this restaurant. I had a hard time choosing which I was going to choose my favorite romantic table, but I decided to do this one, which is called, it's in Jan's Room. It's this little nook that is off the side dining room, and it has kind of this glass sliding door, so it kind of looks into the main dining room, but it has a banquette in the corner, and it has some of her favorite cookbooks and some memorabilia on the walls behind you, and you can snuggle in that little corner and just be a little away from everything, but still have a view of the restaurant and everything going on in there. If that table is not available, there's also a private dining room in the wine cellar as well, so which is another cool experience. But again, every place of these restaurants that I'm mentioning, I'm telling what my favorite romantic table is, but there's really not a bad seat in the house. Then Supper Club on 2nd. So this is a really kind of cool, different dining experience. This is on kind of right across the street from the Peabody, and this table right here you can see is in the front window. There's one that's right in the front table, and there are like 2 or 3 right there in this kind of like nook there, and there are 2 tops, and that is where I like to sit because one, you can kind of look out on the street, but you can also look back and see the scene going on in this restaurant. So the food is excellent. I went recently and I had their version of a lobster pronto pup. I think they're called lobster dogs, and they were really good, and these short ribs that were just over the top. But I will say this one is kind of a scene a little bit because it has a club-like, it's a restaurant, it's a fine dining restaurant, but there is a club-like atmosphere a little bit, like there's loud music playing, kind of like this kind of cool soul R&B, and it's, you know, the lights are dim, and it's just, it's kind of it's a fun, different dining experience. And as I said, I love to sit in one of those front two high top tables and kind of watch everything that's going on in the restaurant. It was funny when they were opening it, they told me that a supper club, originally back in the 50s was, you would go to dinner and you would watch a show. And they said that they were hoping to create a restaurant where there wasn't a show per se, but dining there was the experience, was part of the show. And it definitely is kind of a fun and different kind of cool vibe to go to. And then, one more on my list, and it is a very new restaurant, The Lobbyist. So The Lobbyist at Chisca is in the historic Chisca building that is on South Main, kind of a block or so away from the Orpheum. And this is a restaurant by Chef Jimmy Gentry, and it opened in January. And it is really cool especially this is one that, a lot of times if you have people that are vegetarian, you can't take them places to eat. If your Valentine or your special someone is a vegetarian, you can take them there and they will have a fabulous meal, because he has a whole big section called produce section. And I swear you will not miss the meat at all, but he does have great meat. I mean, he has great steaks and he has fish dishes and sweetbreads and all those things. But he does vegetables really, really, really well. And so the table that I love there is that one that's under that great piece of artwork. It's in they call their PDR, their private dining room. And you just kind of feel like you're off in the corner. It's a really nice little place, because especially under that chandelier, you can see it's breathtaking. But again, not a bad seat in this restaurant as well. I think I did all 10. I hope I did all 10. But all of these places are just really true Memphis originals. They're all owned by Memphians. They're all, Memphis originals, serving great food. They have good service. They're worth the splurge, as I said. Whereas I picked my favorite tables, and you can go to commercialappeal.com/food and see this list, and it does talk about each one of these tables, and each one. Any seat in these houses, any seat in these restaurants is absolutely perfect.
I love that list. It is a great list. There's only 2 places I haven't been, and I got to check them out. But that list is fantastic, Jennifer. And my apologies when I interrupted you before. I said Erling Jensen. I meant to say Chez Philippe. I was at Chez Philippe last month, and it was 7 courses and wine pairings at each course. So it was. It's just such an amazing dining experience. You can't go wrong. But you can't go wrong, as you mentioned, with any of those restaurants. They're just so good. I love it.
Memphis is so lucky to have so many great places here. I mean, it's really amazing. And I have to admit, when I make these lists and I have to narrow them down, it's, first I was going to do my top 5, and I was like, I can't narrow it down to 5. I've got to do 10. And I probably could have mentioned a few more. There's so many great places here in Memphis. And I just, I always encourage people is just look and see. We've got so much cool stuff. We have a really great restaurant scene, and it just, I shouldn't my daughter lives in Nashville, and I've been going there a lot this year, and I go to all these places that supposedly are the best restaurants in Nashville, and we sit there and we're like, this is not as good as what we get in Memphis. So
you know what? You're not the first person that has told me that. They've said the exact same thing. We went to this place in Nashville, so we got plenty of those and better ones in Memphis. So you're absolutely right, 100%. And take Jennifer's recommendations on these restaurants. They're so good. Commercialappeal.com/food. Jennifer Chandler, as always, thanks very much.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Let's switch gears here and let's talk about living with kidney disease. It is extremely hard, and while the treatment is life-saving, it's also life-changing because it forces patients to fit their lives into their dialysis schedule. And there's a patient-friendly home dialysis device that helps patients regain control of their lives. I want to introduce you right now to David Rush. He's one of those patients, and he is going to tell us his story. David, good morning to you. Tell us about how you found out about kidney disease and how this health journey has really affected your lifestyle and your music career. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me today. First off, just want to explain what kidney disease is. Pretty much it's the filters in your kidney. You're losing those filters, and the impurities of food we eat and things we drink kind of get into our bloodstream and start to affect our body in that way. And then you move on to dialysis, which really is like an artificial kidney used to clean the body out and get some of the fluid out that we gained during that time. My case happened in 10th grade, just going to get a regular checkup for football. Took a urine sample and came back with a lot of protein in the blood, ended up going over to seeing scarring on the tissue, and then going to dialysis later on in my life. So the journey for me is affecting me just by time, as far as my music, just slowing me down from traveling and things of that nature. And the journey has been tough, but we're still here to talk about it.
Tell me about your music career, and so what is that, and then how much time you said is devoted to worrying about dialysis?
Well, sure. You know, my music career and my dialysis career started around the same time. When I started dialysis is when I met Mr. 305 Pitbull and was signed to a record deal right around the same month or so when everything kind of happened to me. When I crashed into dialysis, I had just signed with them. So it affected me early on, just trying to adjust to dialysis and the time that I had to spend in center doing 3 times a week. There 5 hours at a time and just taking trips to go work with him and stuff like that. So definitely physically, mentally taxing on the body and mind. But at the same time, you lost that sense of freedom, but I've gained a lot of it back when I started home treatment, doing the Tableau at home. Allowed me to kind of make the schedule for myself and gain that normalcy back and still be able to do work and things I love at the same time of taking care of myself.
It sounds like, if I could use a Pitbull phrase, that the dialysis, home dialysis, hasn't stopped the party, right? Don't stop the party.
Never stop the party. Don't ever stop the party. Shout out to Mr. 305 for that.
Right. So, so let's talk more about what people need to understand about the rigors of dialysis and specifically home dialysis.
Well, it's scheduling and freedom and independence and that normalcy that you miss when you're in center. You know, don't get me wrong, you know, in-center dialysis saved my life for a long time. But, you know, coming home just allowed me to get that back. Being a father of 2 and a husband, you know, you want to spend time with your family, softball games, dance recitals, taekwondo, you know, dates with your wife. You want to be able to do that stuff and not be on a set schedule. So with home dialysis on Tableau, I'm able to make my schedule and do things on my time and have that normalcy back of, okay, yeah, we can go, we can make the trip. I'll do dialysis later. I'll do it early. It just gives you that option. And that's what a lot of people miss doing in center. And that's what I get to get with Tableau at home.
You know, we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning, David, on this digital stream here. Can you tell us more about your experience with this home dialysis system? I would think for someone that's on dialysis, this is a huge, not only time saver, but just much more convenient.
Yeah, it is. It really is. You know, you go through a training course for 2 to 3 weeks. And, you know, let's be honest here, you know, every dialysis patient is going to be different. My personal experience, went to training 2-3 weeks along with my wife, who's going to be my care partner. I get home, they teach you how to put your needles in, they teach you how to set up the machine. It's like working with an iPad. And once you get home, you have 24/7 around the clock support from your nurses and from Tableau itself. People you can call on the line if you need help with anything. And it kind of just gives you that sense of freedom back, like I said, in that time that you have here. At least you're in a, you know, your own home. You have your kids around, you know, your wife's around, you can watch movies, do things like that while doing treatment. And it just allows it not to feel like a part-time job, but more like just taking my life into my own hands and making sure that I take care of myself as best as possible at home.
What does an average day treating at home look like for you, and how does it differ from other dialysis experiences?
Well, you know, I get up, get the kids off, got a 10, 11-year-old, so you know what that's like. It's like waking up zombies, getting them to school. And then after that, I get to hook up and do my treatment. Then I'm off in time to even go pick them up. You know, I take some time for myself just to, you know, collect myself again. And then I'm off. You know, if we have something going on, if there's a softball game, anything like that, I'm able to be there for that. And it just differs because in center, you know, you're set to a schedule. And if you're not there and you miss your treatment, God forbid, you might not be able to do treatment to your day after that. And that could be bad on your body. With this, I can come in and do treatment when I need to, when I have to, as often as I would like to. And that's just been a game changer for me mentally and physically.
Where can people find more information on this home device there, David?
You can check out TableauHomeNow.com. That's TableauHomeNow.com. You go on there and you'll see everything that you need to know about the Tableau and home dialysis machine. And talk to your doctor, man. There's no question that's wrong. Ask any question you can. Be proactive in your health and just, most of all, take care of yourself because, you know, you only get one shot here. So take care of your body, and I wish everybody luck on their journey.
All right, David Rush, we really appreciate your analysis here and telling us about this home device. I know that's going to be a great treatment for so many people out there who also have kidney disease. Thanks so very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, Andrew Douglas back here in the Action News 5 digital desk. The Memphis Police Department will host its first hiring expo of the year. It's going to be this Saturday. It'll be April 8th, and it's something that where someone can go by and start a brand new career with the Memphis Police Department. Joining me now to talk more about this hiring expo is Officer Christopher Freeman. He's joining us on the digital desk. Officer Freeman, if you could do me a favor and tilt down on your camera just a little bit. We got a lot of headroom there. But listen, I really appreciate you joining us this morning to talk about the Police Hiring Expo. Tell me first, tell me about it. What can people expect when they stop by there this Saturday?
So the Memphis Police Department's Hiring Expo is a chance for anybody who has a heart for service that wants to come and serve the city of Memphis can come out and learn about the job and learn what it feels like to be a Memphis police officer. At the time when they're there, they get to speak with us about the different units that we have, the life of an academy recruit. They get to fill out an application and take the first test of the hiring process.
Gotcha. And so can you tell us a little bit more about when this is? I see that it's 11 to 3 on Saturday, where it is, and what people can expect when they show up. I mean, is there going to be just kind of an idea of what they can see in terms of a new career with the Memphis Police Department?
Absolutely. So first, the expo will be April 8th, which is this Saturday at 170 North Main from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will also be parking at the Mud Island Garage, which is at Poplar in front, so they don't have to worry about parking. But what they can expect is first they'll see us with smiling faces to greet them and guide them through the expo process. First, they need to bring a valid driver's license. So once they bring that, we can check them in and they can go through the expo experience. So they'll be able to speak with officers about the requirements, what to expect with the police department, how the police department has changed each and every one of our lives, and different ways that they can serve within the police department.
Okay, officer. So tell me how many officers they're looking to get in this hiring expo, and can you talk about some of the challenges? I know that it's been a priority for the mayor to get certain the level of the Memphis Police Department up to a certain standard.
So we don't have a cap on the amount of officers that we're trying to get from the expo. We just want to make sure that we put the opportunity out there for everybody who is interested and qualified to serve with us. So there's not a cap on the number.
Can you talk about maybe some of the characteristics that would make a great Memphis police officer, candidates that you're looking for?
Absolutely. First, of good moral character, trustworthy, honest. They must carry a high level of integrity. They must be passionate, and they also must love the city of Memphis and its citizens.
Do you need to register beforehand, and what do people need to bring?
So you don't have to register beforehand, just like you don't have to fill out your application beforehand, but it would speed up your check-in process if you did register beforehand. And if you go to the Memphis Police Department's Facebook page, the expo flyer is on the photos, and you can just scan the QR code and go ahead and register. And the only thing we ask people to bring is a valid driver's license.
Okay, and can you talk about perhaps some of the sign-on bonuses and the relocation assistance involved?
Absolutely. So once you're hired and you become a recruit, you are eligible for a $15,000 sign-on bonus. So that'll be given to you in 2 different payments upon graduation and upon completion of probation in your training period. The $10,000 relocation comes from if you live 50 miles outside of the city, we will give you up to $10,000 in relocation to help you move and get settled in the city of Memphis.
So what do you say to someone who is a little bit skittish about it that would make probably a pretty decent candidate, but in light of some of the news, the national news out there, they're a little bit skittish about joining. What do you say to that candidate out there that would make a good police officer, but right now might be a little apprehensive?
I would tell them not to ignore their calling. They want to be a police officer for a reason. It's a deep-rooted calling that all of us have, and don't ignore that calling. You need to fulfill that calling because the people of Memphis, the citizens of Memphis, need you.
Can you talk a little bit about the academy and once someone is selected for this expo hiring, the process to eventually become a police officer?
So the academy is 24 weeks long, roughly about 6 months. Within the academy, they'll learn the policies and procedures of the police department, constitutional law, state law. They also learn the firearms training and how to use the tools that we give them to operate on a day-to-day basis. And there's also physical training as well. We get them in shape.
Anything else you want to mention, officer, about the expo this weekend that we haven't touched on?
Oh, so I just want to invite everyone and reiterate that we look forward to seeing you. And again, if you have that heart for service and if you really feel that calling in you, don't ignore it and come join the Best in Blue.
Okay, join mpd.com for more information. Christopher Freeman, we really appreciate you joining us and filling us in on the expo this Saturday from 11 to 3. Thanks so very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. The next time you get a checkup or a physical, don't be surprised if your doctor prescribes a walk. Yes, a walk, because studies have shown recently that walking just 30 to 60 minutes a day can drastically improve your health, can also reduce the risk of diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Let's bring in Dr. Antonio Gutierrez. He's an American Heart Association volunteer expert to talk more about how a walk can have so many improvements when it comes to our health. Good morning, doctor. Let's talk about some of the health benefits of just walking every day.
Thank you so much for having me. This will be a good time to mention that National Walking Day is on April 5th, but you're absolutely right. There are a lot of great benefits for your health when it comes to walking. There have been several studies that show that it can decrease your blood pressure and cholesterol. And if you exercise regularly, you will see an increase in your mood, energy, improvement in your quality of sleep, and a decrease overall in your levels of stress.
You know, so many people have watches or rings that kind of measure how many steps they get each day, 10,000 steps everyone's trying to get these days. Is there a certain amount of steps you should get before you see the benefits, or is it something that you just need to get out 30 to 60 minutes a day?
So the first thing is we recommend that you start off slow. Do whatever you can, whether that's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, something is better than nothing. Now, if possible, if you can work up to 30 to 60 minutes a day, that would be fantastic. You know, the 6,000 steps is what has been shown to start showing benefits for your health overall.
I got you, doctor. What about peripheral artery disease? Tell me what that is and how can we recognize those symptoms?
So peripheral artery disease, also known as PAD, is a disease where you get blockages in the arteries of the legs. Just like you get blockages in the arteries of the heart, you can get them in the legs. And this often comes on in people 50 years or older. Some of the first signs of you having PAD is you'll start to experiencing cramping and pain in your calves and thighs when you walk, especially if you go up on an incline.
You know, that's interesting. I never really heard about that. I'm also interested in the study that said that just 15 minutes of walking a day can crave some sugar cravings out there. Tell me more about that.
That's what the benefits of walking. There's a lot of them. You're absolutely right. If you walk at least 15 minutes a day, that's been shown to decrease your overall sugar cravings, can also increase your creativity by 60%. So if you're in a little rut, you know, at work or need a little bit more energy, go outside and take a short walk.
You know, going back to peripheral artery disease, I guess the suggestion is even if it hurts you and even if there's some discomfort, you should still continue walking. Is that right? Tell me why.
You're absolutely correct. When it comes to PAD and walking, if you don't use it, you will lose it. So the less you walk, the less you'll be able to walk in the future. However, if you have PAD, what we will recommend is that you walk until you start feeling the symptoms of discomfort. Go ahead and take a few seconds, 20 to 30 seconds of rest, and then get right back at it and walk until you feel these symptoms. Now, at first, you're going to be a little tired, but what you'll find is over time, over weeks, that you will be able to walk without experiencing these symptoms, and you'll also be able to walk further.
I know that I've seen some studies where blood sugar levels are drastically reduced after dinner if you walk, you know, after dinner for 30 minutes or, you know, just around the neighborhood, that sort of thing. April 5th is National Walking Day. You mentioned that earlier. Is that the day that there's going to be more awareness to just kind of bringing the need that everyone just needs to walk every day?
You know, we just use it as a good day, a good time to get everybody aware of, to get out and just move around, especially if you have, you know, diseases like PAD or any risk factors for PAD, such as diabetes or heart disease. It's a good time to get out.
Anything else we can mention with regards to National Walk Day, taking steps in the right direction to improve your health, peripheral artery disease, anything else you want to mention, and where can we go to get some more information?
So the American Heart Association really is the premier source for all questions with cardiovascular disease. If you guys have any questions, I recommend you go to heart.org/PAD. The other thing you can do is ask your physician next time you're in for a routine checkup.
All right, Dr. Antonio Gutierrez, good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. We continue the aftermath coverage of the storms that hit Friday into Saturday, did a number on various parts of the Mid-South. 17 people, last count, confirmed dead here. National Weather Service confirmed an EF3 tornado hit in several parts of the Mid-South, including Wynne, Arkansas, and that's where we find Action News 5 Sydney Gray live with an update on the damage and recovery efforts. Sydney, good morning. Tell us where you are and what's the latest.
Hey, good morning to you, Andrew. So we're at the high school now. You're going to see a car passing by us here in just a few minutes because we are on the sidewalk this morning as cars continue to kind of roll through here because they want to see the damage. They want to know what has happened, what's left of their high school, that car passing there this morning. This is Wynne High School. We showed you earlier more of the parking lot area of the high school, and you could see a lot of the damage over there. You could see the roof down. You could see the doors knocked down, just everything caved in. I wanted to show you the stadium. And why? Well, because we're in Wynne. They're the Yellow Jackets, as y'all see over there on the water tower. But here's what's left. And it's really, really sad to see this because I imagine in a small town like this, there is lots of pride for their team, their football team. And so to see, you know, this just destroyed like this is really, really difficult to kind of take in. I mean, we got drone video that we showed earlier over the weekend, and we could see the turf just pulled apart from this stadium here. And I mean, look at the railing is down. There's brick uprooted from the ground that's probably been here for years. So this is just another portion of the school that I wanted folks to be able to see this morning now that it is daylight.
Yes, Sydney, so it's very interesting to see some of the stuff that you're showing us from the stadium. And you're right, as you might expect, with 8,200 people in a small community of Wynne, Arkansas, the high school is a big source of pride for so many people. You know, I know the pictures don't do it justice in terms of widespread damage in that area. What, as a reporter covering these things, what can you tell us that maybe your camera doesn't see?
Andrew, that is a great question. It's the details. It is the little details. I'm gonna let this car go ahead and pass. Folks are trying to get through here this morning. She might, yeah, there you go. It's all good. It's all good. People are passing through because this is a developing situation. But back to your question, it is the details that you can't see. We were listening to the radio earlier and someone said it's much worse than what you see on TV. And I would agree with that as a reporter 100%. When we were at the business, the Boulevard Salon, when we were zooming in and you might have seen just the dust and debris, I asked the business owner, where do you start? And she said, I don't know. She literally had no idea where to begin to pick up the pieces. And so it's looking at those tiny little fragments of glass, the brick on the ground, the walls that have come down. It is those tiny pieces to me that really speak volumes to the damage that these tornadoes can do to a small town like this. And you see the piles that are just stacked up in the neighborhoods, at the houses, at the school even. So I want to reiterate the details that y'all may not see on camera back home, that you may not see even online, but when we're here in Wynne, it really kind of hits really close to home.
I can totally see that. EF3 tornado, that's 165 miles an hour maximum speed. So certainly very powerful, very destructive. Have you heard from people affiliated with the high school? I've seen some things online about Yellow Jacket Pride and being strong at this time of in the school's history. What else are you hearing from maybe some of the school staff or students?
So, Andrew, I haven't heard specifically from staff or students just yet, but I'm going to refer back to that business. The woman I talked to, her name was Heidi. She was so sweet. Her business has been there 20 years. And one thing that she mentioned was that the people who she, at her salon, she did their hair. And she said that these are people she's watched grow up, people who attended Wynne High School. She'd do their hair for prom, for homecoming, for things like that. And so, again, it just shows how close-knit this community is, how everyone is kind of intertwined here in Wynne. And so, while I haven't talked to anyone today, and I do plan to do that, I'm going to be walking all throughout this town to really hear from people and see how they're doing today, now that it's been a few days since the storm has passed. But you can tell that this is a place where people are prideful. They love their school. And a lot of the people that I talked to over the weekend said this school, this place right here, is kind of the glue that keeps this community together. So it's really devastating and honestly heartbreaking to, again, look and see what is left days after such a powerful storm.
What about ways that people can help, Sydney? I know that we had some ways that we could help the people down in central Mississippi where tornado outbreak happened there less than 2 weeks ago. Has there been anything set up where people can donate to some of the folks in Wynne and some other areas in the Mid-South?
Oh yeah, so there's lots of donation sites that are already set up, and I do want to reference, though, there is a City of Wynne Facebook page that I've been watching and looking back on this weekend. I believe it was Sunday. They had posted about a donation site here in the town. I don't have the exact address on me right now, but it's not far from the school. We were down there Sunday or Saturday, and it's just about a block away from the school, and they are taking, toiletries, items like that folks may need as they have lost everything. But the City of Wynne's Facebook page has been kind of updating folks throughout the weekend about what they can do. Another thing, obviously the American Red Cross is here, of Arkansas and Missouri. They're both here. They were over at the First Assembly of God Church. And one thing that they did tell our Sydney Hawkins when she was here Sunday is that even if your home is okay, even if you have somewhere to go, you can still come there and get the resources you may need. So if you need, a bed, a cot, if you've lost some things, if you need toiletries, if you need food, there are people out there who are here to help you.
Hey, good morning. We had some rain move through overnight when most of us were sleeping. Still a little bit of rain and drizzle early this morning. All this rain is pushing east, though. You can see that on our radar loop. So the rest of the day actually looks really nice, especially once we get past lunchtime. Rain chances come to an end just after 9 a.m. We'll end up at the upper 60s at noon, 75 at 3. Mostly sunny at 5 o'clock, 76 degrees, and then upper 70s at 7. We have warm air in place today, 80s in the forecast tomorrow, 70s still on Wednesday. There will actually be a low pressure system with a cold front attached, kind of similar to the setup we had on Friday, moving through portions of Iowa. That will bring a 4 out of 5 for severe weather, a 3 out of 5 for most of Arkansas. But notice the severe weather threat is lower as you look off to the east. This will be for Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning for our area in particular. Forest City, Wynne, Blytheville, Jonesboro have that elevated risk for severe weather. West Tennessee, North Mississippi, slightly lower threat. But Wynne, Forest City, Jonesboro, Blytheville, with a lot of instability in place, you may see a thunderstorm that develops with some damaging winds, hail, tornado threat on the lower end in our area, but certainly something I'm watching. I know last thing you want to hear after we're already still cleaning up from those tornadoes from Friday. Wednesday, again, as that system moves east, that severe weather threat weakened significantly. Right now we have a 1 out of 5. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw that upgraded to a 2 out of 5, just because, again, instability is really high with this system. If we did get a storm develop, strong winds would be the main concern. It'll be breezy anyway, so a storm could easily hit 40, 50 miles per hour, and also some small hail will be possible. So let's look at timing. So an isolated severe storm possible in Harrisburg right around 9 o'clock in the morning. You'll still have a thunderstorm or two through 11 a.m., although we're really not seeing much of that rain developing until around noon. This is 12:30. Along this line, you can get some damaging wind gusts from Harrisburg into Wynne, into Forest City. That line pushes over the Mississippi River into Shelby County, including in Memphis. Around 3 o'clock, we see that stretch up into Brownsville and Crockett County as well. And then in the evening, most of that rain situates in North Mississippi. For several hours, you'll have heavy rain. This is 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday. Probably going to see this move in around 7 or 8 and last through late in the evening in Oxford and Corinth and Senatobia. Rain should be coming to an end by the time you wake up on Thursday morning, but rainfall total is obviously higher in that area in North Mississippi. 1 to 2 inches of rain, about a ½ inch to an inch for West Tennessee, eastern Arkansas. But this is just the average rainfall total. A downpour could easily bring that rainfall total, even here in Memphis, up to an inch. This weekend, rain chances drop down to about 20%, but there's still that potential there with that front stalled to our south, especially in North Mississippi. If we did see rain, it'll probably be late Saturday night into early Sunday. And then temperatures will be in the upper 60s Saturday, lower 70s on Sunday. So it feels mild, at least for our Easter weekend forecast. If you want to keep up to date on that chance for thunderstorms Wednesday, and also with that weekend forecast, you can get that on our First Alert Weather app. We keep updating it several times a day for you. Today we're in the upper 70s. Tomorrow, 85 in Memphis. Some spots may even get up to the upper 80s tomorrow, and it will feel humid, feeling more like a late spring, early summer day tomorrow. It'll definitely make you miss some cooler weather. 75 degrees on Wednesday, but behind Wednesday's cold front, temperatures are going to drop. Upper 40s for lows on Wednesday night. Then we're in the lower 60s on Thursday and Friday. Again, rain chances on the lower end for the weekend. So if you have Easter plans, maybe doing some Easter egg hunts on Sunday, thankfully with those low rain chances, I'm not expecting any big issues or cancellations of any Easter activities over the weekend.
All right, that does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. We have Action News 5 Midday Report coming up at the top of the hour with Ariana Poindexter. Going to be talking a lot more about the aftermath of these storms and an outlook for the next 7 days in our forecast. You can join us later again tomorrow morning for another edition of the Digital Desk beginning at 8 o'clock.